By the time my son asked me to live in his house for a month, he had already erased me from Sunday dinner. I know how that sounds. There was no dramatic family vote, no one standing at the head of the table with a gavel. It was actual erasing. Dry erase marker on the little menu board Mara kept beside the refrigerator. Sunday, it said in her neat block letters. Evan plus Mara Rachel plus Tom Celia plus Rob Ben's 7 names. Mine wasn't one of them. 20 minutes later, in the driveway, Evan jingled a spare key between 2 fingers and said, "So, we were hoping you could stay here while we're gone. For dinner?" He gave me the look he'd been giving me since he turned 30, the one that suggested I had made a joke without filing the necessary paperwork. "For the month, Dad." We talked about Oregon. I looked back at the warm kitchen windows, at the shadows of people moving through a house where I had just learned I was no longer welcome on Sundays. "You want me to live here?" It would make everything easier. That part, at least, was true. The evening had started well enough. I showed up at 5:38 with an apple pie balanced on one hand and a small paper bag tucked under my arm. Mara opened the door before I could knock. "You're early," she said, "by 7 minutes, which, in Martin time, means you believe you're late." Mara kissed my cheek and took the pie. She was wearing a rust-colored sweater with the sleeves pushed up, and there was flour along one side of her jaw. She was 41, smart enough to make Evan nervous when they first met, and kinder than she liked people to notice. "What's in the bag?" she asked. "Nothing." Martin. Felt pads, her eyes closed briefly. "For what?" "The dining chairs, one of them scraping the floor." "It is?" "The one closest to the window." She looked toward the dining room, then back at me. "How do you know that? I have ears." "You heard a chair scratching my floor last Sunday?" I heard a chair asking for help. That got a laugh out of her, but it wasn't a relaxed one. "Maybe let the chair suffer tonight," she said. "Your house." I put the bag on the entry table. Roscoe came skidding around the corner before I had my coat off. He was 13 years old, mostly black with a white muzzle and eyebrows that made him look permanently concerned about interest rates. His back leg slipped on the hardwood, so I crouched before he hurt himself, trying to reach me. "There he is," I said. Roscoe shoved his head under my hand and groaned. "Traitor," Evan called from the kitchen. "You don't rub behind his ears right. I've had him 11 years, and you've been doing it wrong 11 years. Evan appeared carrying a platter of sliced meat. "Hello to you, too." He leaned down, and we did the half-hug men do when both are holding something, and neither is sure whether the other one wants a full hug. At 43, my son was 2 inches taller than me, and somehow still stood like he was trying to become taller. He had on a blue button-down shirt, dark jeans, and the watch Mara had given him for their anniversary. His hair had started thinning at the corners. He combed it differently now and thought no one had noticed. "You need a hand?" I asked. "I have 2. "The gravy done?" "Yes." "Potatoes?" "Yes." "Did you rest the meat before slicing?" His eyes met mine. I raised both hands. General interest. "Go sit down, Dad." Rachel and Tom arrived while I was pouring myself a glass of water. My daughter hugged me with one arm and used the other to keep me away from the bowl she was carrying. "Don't ask what's in it," she said. I wasn't going to. "And don't adjust the seasoning. I don't carry emergency salt." Tom looked at me. "He carries emergency salt, doesn't he? Only in the truck." Rachel laughed, but she glanced toward the kitchen afterward. It was a quick look. I noticed it and pretended I hadn't. Rachel was 39 and had inherited her mother's ability to communicate entire warnings by moving one eyebrow. Tom was quieter, a broad-shouldered physical therapist who had been with her 6 years and still called me sir when he was uncomfortable. The other guests came shortly after, Mara's sister Celia and her husband Rob, then Evan's friend Ben. I knew all of them. That was what made the board strange. This wasn't a new group or a special occasion. It was our regular Sunday dinner, with one subtraction. I first saw it when I went looking for a dish towel. Mara's board usually listed the menu, not the guests. Roast chicken, green beans, potatoes. Something sweet, if Evan remembered. That night, the food had been written smaller at the bottom. The names took up most of the board. I read them twice. There was a faint gray smear under Rachel's name, where something had been wiped away. It might have been mine. It might have been last week's note about buying butter. "Dad?" Evan stood behind me with the carving knife in one hand. I pointed at the board. "What's this?" He looked at it, then at the knife, as if deciding whether the knife made the conversation look worse. "It's next Sunday. I gathered that from the word Sunday. We were going to talk to you. Were you? Yes. Before next Sunday, Mara came in carrying a stack of napkins. When she saw us, she stopped. Evan put the knife on the counter. Can we not do this while I'm holding something sharp? I didn't ask you to bring the knife. I'm carving dinner. Then carve dinner. Martin, Mara said gently. I looked at her. Is it a surprise party? No. Good. I hate those. It's not a party, Evan said. We're just changing Sundays around for a while. Changing how? He rubbed the back of his neck. That was something he had done since college whenever he wanted to present a decision as a discussion. We want them smaller. I looked at the 7 names. Ben came through the doorway, saw our faces, and backed out without taking the beer he had come for. How small were they before? I asked. That's not what I mean. You've got everybody who ate here last Sunday, except me. Dad. I'm trying to understand the definition. Mara set the napkins down. Maybe the laundry room would be more private. Nothing improves a family conversation like moving it beside detergent. The 3 of us squeezed into a room built for 1 person and a washing machine. A basket of clean towels sat on the dryer. One of Evan's shirts hung from the utility sink, dripping onto a folded rag. Evan shut the door most of the way. We've been talking, he said. You and Mara? Yes. Mara looked at him. Evan? What? We have. She crossed her arms, but said nothing else. Evan continued. Sunday dinners have gotten tense. Since when? For a while. How long is a while? This is exactly what I mean. What is? Every answer becomes a deposition. I asked 2 questions. You never just let anything be. From the dining room came the clink of silverware. Someone laughed too loudly at something that probably wasn't funny. Evan lowered his voice. You come over and you inspect everything. You tell me how to slice meat. You check the thermostat. Last month you reorganized my garage. You asked me to find the jumper cables. I didn't ask you to label the shelves. You couldn't find anything. I could find things. You had Christmas lights in a cooler. It's my cooler. Mara pressed her lips together. I couldn't tell whether she was suppressing a smile or a scream. Evan said, I want to have one meal in my own house where I don't feel like I'm being graded. That landed. I looked past him at the shirt dripping into the sink. Do I do that? I asked Mara. She took her time answering, which was an answer by itself. Sometimes, she said, you're trying to help. I know you are, but help can still feel like pressure when nobody asked. I nodded once. Evan's shoulders loosened, just a little. He thought we had reached the part where I surrendered. So your solution is to invite everybody but me, I said. It isn't forever. How long? We don't know. Did you consider talking to me before taking my name off the board? I am talking to you. After. I knew you'd react like this. I almost laughed. Standing in a laundry room, you're making it sound cruel. I haven't called it anything. You don't have to. You do this calm voice, and everybody else gets to feel like a lunatic. That was not entirely untrue either. I had learned the calm voice during my marriage. Elaine used to say it was my finest weapon because it made anger look like a character defect, belonging exclusively to the other person. I hadn't believed her then. Divorce has a way of making old sentences ripen. Mara touched Evan's arm. Dinner's getting cold, he exhaled. We can talk later. No, I said. I understand. His expression said he didn't believe me. Maybe I didn't believe me either. We went back to the table. Nobody mentioned the board. Nobody had to. The room had the stiff politeness of a restaurant after someone drops a tray. Rachel asked Ben about work. Ben answered for about 8 minutes, without breathing. Celia praised the potatoes 3 separate times. The roast was a little dry. I didn't say so. The chair by the window scraped every time Rob moved. I left the felt pads in the entryway. When Mara served the pie, she put the first slice in front of me. Middle piece, she said. Less crust. You remembered? Of course. That nearly undid me more than the board had. I ate half the slice and told her it was good. You made it, she said. Then I stand by my assessment. She smiled, grateful for the small return to normal. Across the table, Evan was explaining their trip to Rob. Mara's company needed her in Portland for 10 days. Afterward, she and Evan planned to drive south, take the coast, and spend another 2.5 weeks moving slowly back through California and Arizona. We haven't had a whole month together since our honeymoon, Mara said. Neither have we, Evan said. That's because you keep attending. The table laughed. Even me. For a few minutes, I could almost pretend I hadn't seen my absence written in blue marker 10 feet away. After coffee, I helped carry plates to the kitchen until Evan took one out of my hands. We've got it. It was a small sentence. That night, it had teeth. I got my coat from the entryway. The bag of felt pads was still there. I considered leaving it, then slipped it into my pocket. Roscoe followed me outside, and Evan came after us. Come on, buddy. He pointed toward the house. Inside. Roscoe leaned against my leg. Evan shook his head. Unbelievable. You've wounded him. He had roast beef. Food doesn't heal everything. The joke hung between us. Evan looked toward the kitchen window. Then he took the spare key from his pocket. So, he said, about Oregon. He explained the dog, the garden, the packages, the contractor, and the recycling bins. He had made a typed schedule. The guest room had clean sheets. I could use their streaming accounts. We figured it would be easier if you stayed here, he said. You don't have much going on in August, right? The key rested in his open palm. I looked at it, then at my son. He had not connected the two conversations. That was the astonishing part. In his mind, removing me from Sunday dinner and asking me to protect his home belonged in separate rooms. I scratched Roscoe behind the ears. I'll think about it, I said. Evan nodded as if that meant yes. I drove home with the felt pads in my coat pocket and my name missing from next Sunday. At the first red light, my phone buzzed in the cup holder. Evan had sent me an email with the subject line August house stuff. Beneath it came a text. Sent you the schedule. Contractor dates might move. Thanks again. I read the last two words twice before the light changed. He had heard I'll think about it and translated it into the answer he wanted. To be fair, I had taught him to do that. My no had always been soft enough to sleep on. Even during the years when I was still working, Evan could call at 7 on a Tuesday morning and ask whether I was busy that afternoon. If I said I had a few things to do, he heard available by lunch. The house was dark when I got home. I left the kitchen light on when I went out, but the bulb had burned out, so I stood inside the back door with one hand on the wall and listened to the refrigerator hum. I had lived there alone for 9 years. The quiet usually felt earned. That night, it felt assigned. My coat went over the back of a chair. When it landed, the bag of felt pads fell out and hit the floor. I looked at it for a while. Then I turned on the light above the stove, poured a glass of water, and opened Evan's email. The schedule was 4 pages. He had divided it by week and color-coded the tasks. Green for the garden, blue for Roscoe, yellow for the house. There were instructions for the thermostat, the watering timer, trash collection, recycling, mail, packages, contractor access, and how often to flush the downstairs toilet. A note beside Roscoe's evening medication said, "Dad already knows." There was also a list of emergency contacts. I was first. Mara's sister Celia was second. Their neighbor across the street was third. A veterinary clinic came fourth. I scrolled to the bottom. "We appreciate you," Evan had typed, with an exclamation point. I closed the email. The kitchen clock said 9:13. On any other Sunday, I would have been putting leftovers in the refrigerator. Mara usually sent me home with enough food for 2 lunches, no matter who hosted. I opened my refrigerator out of habit and found half a carton of eggs, mustard, a jar of pickles, and 3 pieces of cheese that had stopped speaking to one another. My phone rang. Rachel. I let it ring twice before answering. "Did I wake you?" she asked. "It's 9 o'clock. That doesn't answer the question." I was reading. "The schedule?" I leaned against the counter. "How do you know about the schedule?" Evan said he sent it. Quick communications network." She sighed. "Dad." There are at least 14 meanings of dad, depending on the daughter and the sigh. This one meant, "Please don't make me work harder than I already have." "What?" I said. "I wanted to see if you were okay." "Which part?" "You know which part." "I found out a lot tonight. He handled it badly. Did you know?" Silence. It wasn't a long silence, but I had time to look at all 3 pieces of cheese. Rachel. "I knew they wanted to change dinners," she said. "You knew I wasn't invited next week. I knew they wanted some space. And you're attending the space. That's not fair. It's accurate. Evan told me it was going to be a smaller group. There are 7 people. I didn't count. You're an accountant." I'm not an accountant. I work in procurement, which involves counting. That is not the point. No, it isn't. I heard a door close on her end, then her voice changed slightly. She had moved somewhere Tom couldn't hear, or where she thought I couldn't hear him. I assumed it was one dinner, she said. The board said next Sunday. Exactly. He said tonight he doesn't know how long. I didn't know that. I believed her. That helped less than I expected. Are you still going? I asked. She hesitated again. Celia and Rob are bringing food. That wasn't my question. If I don't go, it becomes a whole thing. It became a whole thing when somebody made a guest list. You want me to choose sides. I asked if you were going to dinner, and you know what the answer means. I picked up the bag of felt pads and turned it over in my hand. 24 round pads, beige, self-adhesive. What do you think I should do about the house? I asked. Rachel's relief came through the phone. Logistics were safer ground. I think staying there would be good for Roscoe. He can stay here. You know he gets nervous in new places. He's been in my house more times than Tom. That's because Tom knows how to go home. I smiled despite myself. She went on. Evan and Mara have already booked everything. The contractor needs somebody there. They can't ask the neighbors for a month. They could pay someone. That would be expensive. So, they do know what my time is worth. Dad, come on, I'm thinking about it. You sound like you've already decided. I sound like I'm standing in my kitchen and doing the voice. What voice? The calm one. I set the felt pads down. That seems to be a popular complaint. We can tell when you're angry. I haven't said I'm not angry. No, you make everybody earn the confession. That sounded so much like Elaine that for a second I wondered whether my former wife had written it for her. Good night, Rachel. Don't hang up like that. Like what? Like I failed a test I didn't know I was taking. I looked at the dark window over the sink. My own face floated there, tired and indistinct. You didn't fail anything, I said. I asked a question. I'll call tomorrow. All right. Dad, I'm here. I love you. I love you too. She waited, perhaps expecting me to make that solve the rest. Then she said goodnight. I changed the kitchen bulb before bed. It took less than a minute. I kept replacements on a shelf in the basement, sorted by wattage. When I climbed back upstairs, the room filled with clean yellow light, and I could see the dust along the top edge of the refrigerator. I noticed it. Then, because nobody was watching, I noticed myself noticing it. Monday mornings had lost their shape after I retired. For 38 years, Monday had been a thing that arrived with shoes, keys, coffee, and a reason to watch the clock. Now it entered politely and waited for me to assign it meaning. I made 2 eggs, burned 1 piece of toast, and carried my coffee to the back steps. The felt pads were still on the counter. At 10, Evan called. I watched his name vibrate across the screen until it stopped. At 10:02, he called again. Everything okay? I asked. Why didn't you answer? I was deciding whether to. Are you mad? You took me off Sunday dinner. I didn't take you off. Mara and I are changing the dynamic. My name was absent. You keep saying your name like it was a government registry. It was a board. Exactly. You're the one who wrote names on it. Mara wrote them. That was an interesting choice of defense. He continued before I could answer. Look, I know last night was uncomfortable. That's why I wanted to call. You called about the schedule. I called about both. Which one first? Why does everything with you have to be like this? Like what? An interrogation. If questions feel like interrogation, you might be avoiding the answers. He let out a breath directly into the phone. Can you stay at the house or not? I'll tell you tomorrow. Why tomorrow? Because I said I'd think about it. You've had all night. I was asleep for some of it. The trip is in 3 weeks. If you can't do it, we need to know. I agree, then tell me. Tomorrow. He went quiet. All right, he said finally. Tomorrow. It was the first time in years I could remember him accepting an answer he didn't like, without pushing until it changed. Maybe he thought he was being patient. Maybe he still thought tomorrow meant yes. I spent the day doing things that had nothing to do with his house. I went to the bank, bought coffee, and stopped at the hardware store for a furnace filter I didn't need until September. I stood in the aisle comparing 2 brands before realizing I had driven there, because hardware stores were one of the few places where knowing how to fix things counted as a personality. I left without the filter. On Tuesday afternoon, Evan's truck pulled into my driveway. He came to the back door carrying the blue binder, where he kept instructions for Roscoe's medication and veterinary records. The typed schedule was tucked inside the front cover. "You didn't have to bring that," I said. "You said you'd answer today. I can answer without visual aids." He stepped into the kitchen anyway. He set the binder beside the felt pads and looked around. New bulb, the old one burned out. He opened my refrigerator. "Do you have anything to drink? Water? No soda?" I wasn't expecting company. "I'm your son." "Then you know where the glasses are?" He filled one at the sink and drank half of it standing up. His gaze moved to the bag on the counter. "You forgot those." I changed my mind. "About felt pads?" "Yes. You bought them for us. I bought them because the noise bothered me. That chair is scratching the floor. Mara asked me to let it suffer." He gave a short laugh before remembering he was irritated. I sat at the kitchen table. He stayed at the counter. "I'll take Roscoe here," I said. He frowned. "What do you mean? While you're gone, he can stay with me." "What about the house? You'll need to make another arrangement." He set the glass down. "You're serious?" "Yes. Dad, the whole point is that somebody needs to be there. The point for Roscoe is that somebody needs to care for him. I'll do that. The contractor is coming. Reschedule him. We already put down a deposit. Ask Celia. She works. So did I when you used to ask me for things." His face tightened. "This is because of Sunday dinner. It is related. So you're punishing us." "No, I'm paying attention." "To what?" "To the fact that you don't want me in your house when you're eating. But you do want me in your house when there are toilets to flush." "Oh, for God's sake. You make it sound like we're hiring you as a servant. You're not hiring me. We trust you. Then trust me at dinner." "That has nothing to do with this. It has everything to do with this." He pushed away from the counter. "I knew you'd do this. Then why didn't you arrange someone else? Because you always help." There it was. Not cruelty, certainty. "I'm helping with Roscoe," I said. "You know what? Forget Roscoe. We'll find a kennel." "That would be your decision. He's old. He hates kennels." "I know." "So you're fine letting him suffer to prove a point?" "I just offered to keep him. In a different house because you need control." I looked at my son and wondered how two people could use the same facts to build opposite men. "I don't need control," I said. "I need you to hear no." He picked up the binder. "You like being needed," he said. "You've built your whole life around it. I thought you'd be glad we still need you." Then he walked out, leaving his water glass on the counter. I sat there until the back door stopped shaking. After a while, I picked up the glass, washed it, dried it, and put it away. Then I took it back out and left it in the sink. The glass stayed in the sink for 3 hours. I walked past it every time I entered the kitchen, once for coffee, once to put the felt pads in the junk drawer, once because I had forgotten why I went in there. Each time my hand moved toward it and stopped. At 6:12, the phone rang. "Mara." "Is this a bad time?" she asked. "I'm watching a glass dry. That sounds thrilling. It has a strong second act." She didn't laugh. I heard Roscoe breathing near the phone, slow and heavy. "Evan told me what happened," she said. "Which version? He came home with a dog binder like he'd just lost a court case." "That narrows it down. He says you refused to help. I offered to keep Roscoe." "I know." "He left that detail out?" "He included it after I asked where Roscoe was supposed to go." I sat at the kitchen table. "Is Evan there?" "He went for a drive. He likes those when other people aren't behaving correctly. So do you." "That was fair," Mara said. "I want Roscoe to stay with you. He can. And I'll find somebody for the house. Evan won't like that." "No, but I'm not asking his permission." There was a cabinet noise on her end, then water running. I pictured her in the kitchen, cleaning after a man who had left angry. I had seen Elaine do that. I had watched her slam cupboard doors while insisting she was fine, then decided the useful thing was to tighten the hinges. "Mara," I said, "was Sunday dinner your idea?" The water stopped. "The way it happened?" "No. That's not an answer. The problem is real, Martin. I didn't ask whether the problem was real. You see? That. You find the exact corner where somebody can't move. I'm asking if you wanted me taken off the guest list." She was quiet long enough for Roscoe to sigh. "I wanted one dinner where Evan didn't spend the afternoon trying to impress you," she said. "I don't ask him to." "You don't have to? He turns into a different person when you're here." "How?" "He explains everything. Why he bought that grill. Why he changed insurance companies. Why the roast needs another 10 minutes. He watches your face while you eat. I can't control where he looks. No, but you could tell him dinner is good before he asks. I usually do, after you tell him what you would have done differently. That gave me nothing to say. Mara softened her voice. I'm not saying he handled this well. He didn't. I told him he needed to talk to you before we invited anyone. Before you invited everyone. It wasn't supposed to be everyone. Who got added? Ben asked what we were doing. Celia already comes most weeks. Then Rachel heard about it. So the smaller dinner expanded until the only way to keep it smaller was to remove me. When you put it that way, it sounds terrible. It sounded terrible on the board too. I know. That was the first time anybody had said it without adding a defense. I rubbed the side of my thumb along a scratch in the table. I had bought the table after Elaine moved out. Solid oak, used, heavier than regret. Why write the names down? I asked. I was trying to plan food. You usually write food, I know. Was my name there first? She inhaled. There had been a gray smear under Rachel's name. Martin, was it? Yes, one word. No calm voice could make it smaller. Who erased it? Evan. I looked toward the junk drawer where I had put the felt pads. Mara said, he was angry. We'd argued about how to talk to you. I wrote everybody down, and he said if your name stayed there, we'd keep putting it off. So he wiped it away. He thought being direct would be better. He took me into the laundry room. I said he thought it. I didn't say he achieved it. Despite myself, I laughed once. She let the sound settle. I'm sorry, she said. For my part. What's your part? I let him do it. Then I served you pie like a coward. It was good pie. You made it. I've heard that. Roscoe can stay with you. I'll bring his things over before we leave. All right. And I'm hiring someone to check the house. If you need a recommendation, I know. I stopped. The name had already formed in my mouth. A former coworker's nephew ran a property care service. I could have called, compared prices, checked references, and handed Evan a completed solution before bedtime. Mara waited. I know what? She asked. Nothing? You were about to fix it, weren't you? Probably. Does it hurt not to? A little. This time she laughed. After we hung up, I washed the glass. I didn't hear from Evan the rest of the week. Rachel sent me a picture of a misshapen tomato from her garden and asked whether it was safe to eat. I told her yes. She sent back, Are you sure? I wrote, You asked for my expertise. Trust it or enjoy your decorative tomato. Tom added a thumbs up from her phone. That was as close as we came to Sunday. Elaine called Thursday afternoon while I was in the garage cleaning a set of paintbrushes that had already been clean. Rachel says you've started a civil war, she said. Rachel exaggerates. She said you were calm. Then how could it be a war? I told her calm is when you're most heavily armed. My former wife and I had been divorced 12 years. We got along better now because we no longer had shared walls for my silence to bounce off. She lived 40 minutes away in a condo with white furniture, many pillows, and no visible tools. Did Rachel ask you to call? I said. No, she complained to me. I called because I'm nosy. Honesty is refreshing, and because I know what Sunday means to you. I squeezed water out of a brush and set it on a towel. Apparently it means I'm oppressive. It can mean two things. Whose side are you on? I'm divorced. I don't have to take sides anymore. It's the main benefit. I smiled. She said, Tell me what happened, so I did. I gave her the board, the laundry room, the schedule, the key, and Evan's statement that I should be glad they still needed me. Elaine listened without interrupting, which was unusual enough that I checked the screen once to make sure the call hadn't dropped. When I finished, she said, That was cruel. The word landed differently from her. Yes, I said. He had a legitimate complaint and turned it into cruelty. Yes. You also have a problem. There it is. Martin, when you want to feel close to somebody, you find something broken. I talk to people. You fix things near people. It's not the same. You make me sound like a repairman haunting a family. You once drove to my condo after the divorce and replaced my garbage disposal. You said it was leaking. I called to tell you my sister was in the hospital. The disposal was leaking while you told me. My sister was fine. That isn't the point. You spent 2 hours under my sink and never asked if I was scared. I remembered the disposal. I remembered the brand, the corroded mounting ring, the towel I put beneath the pipe. I did not remember her sister being in the hospital. The brush in my hand dripped onto the concrete. I didn't know, I said. Yes, you did. You didn't know what to do with it. We sat in the silence people earn by knowing each other too long. Finally, Elaine said, "Don't watch the house. You think I'm right? I think if you agree now, you'll resent every plant you water." He says I'm punishing him. Maybe you are a little. I offered to take the dog. You like the dog. Everybody likes Roscoe. Roscoe has never criticized your boundaries. He ate a glove in 2018, still less destructive than most family conversations. I sat on the workbench. "What am I supposed to do Sunday?" I asked. It came out before I could dress it up. Elaine did not pretend she hadn't heard the part underneath. "Anything you want." That's not an activity. Call June. She has her own life. So does everybody. That doesn't mean they can't have dinner. I don't want her coming over because she feels sorry for me. Then don't sound so pitiful when you call. I don't sound pitiful. You asked your former wife what to do on a Sunday. Momentary weakness. Call your sister. Sunday arrived with no respect for the situation. At 9, I made coffee. At 10, I went to the grocery store for milk and came home with a chicken, potatoes, green beans, 2 lemons, and a loaf of bread. I did not decide to cook dinner. My hands apparently had separate plans. At 1, I rubbed the chicken with butter and herbs. At 2, I set the table for 4, then stared at what I had done. I put 3 plates back. At 4:30, Rachel texted, "Thinking about you. Hope you're doing okay." I pictured them gathering at Evans, Mara setting out napkins, Ben bringing beer, Rob dragging the chair by the window across the floor. I typed, "Hope dinner is good." Rachel's reply appeared, vanished, then appeared again. "You could still come. I'm sure nobody would turn you away." That was worse than no invitation, I wrote. I'm sure they wouldn't. The chicken went into the oven. Butter hissed in the bottom of the roasting pan. The house filled with lemon and thyme. Enough dinner for 4 people moving through rooms built for 1. At 5, I called June. She answered over loud music. If this is about my car, the noise stopped. It'll come back. Then I'll turn the music up. "Are you busy?" "Yes." I almost let her go. Then she said, "Why? I made too much chicken." "How much?" "Enough." "Is this the Sunday thing?" "Who told you?" Rachel told Elaine, Elaine told me, and now I assume it's on the evening news. I don't want a sympathy visit. Good, because I've never felt sorry for you. "Thank you. I'm bringing wine." "You don't need to?" "And Len." "Who's Len?" "A man from my building." "What kind of man?" "The adult kind, Martin." "We're too old for this question." I meant, why is he coming? "Because you said you made too much chicken." "I didn't invite a stranger. You barely invited me." The doorbell rang 35 minutes later. June stood there holding wine. Beside her was a narrow man with silver hair, a green scarf, and a bakery box balanced on both palms. "This is Len," she said. Len lifted the box. I was told there was an emergency involving poultry. Behind me, the chair by the window sat perfectly still. I stepped aside. "Come in," I said. June entered as if she owned the hallway and had recently discovered I was mismanaging it. "You still have that rug," she said. "It's a good rug. It has a bald spot. So do I. That doesn't mean we leave you by the door." Len laughed before he knew whether he was allowed to. I liked him a little for that. He held out the bakery box. Apple turnovers. They were out of anything that goes naturally with chicken. Apple goes with chicken. June handed me the wine. "Don't encourage him." He spent 12 minutes interrogating the woman at the bakery. She said the turnovers were rustic. I asked what that meant. "It means $6. I took his coat. "You're among friends? We just met." "Among people, then." June went straight to the kitchen, opened the oven, and leaned into the heat. "You're going to dry that out. It has a thermometer. Your thermometer is a pessimist. It measures temperature. That's what it wants you to think." Len followed me into the dining room. He stopped when he saw the table set for 1. There are things people pretend not to notice because noticing would require tenderness. Len looked at the single plate, the 4 cloth napkins stacked on the sideboard, and the extra silverware I had put away badly enough that 1 fork still stuck out of the drawer. He did not look at me. "Where should I sit?" he asked. "Anywhere. That's too much freedom." He chose the chair by the window. When he pulled it back, the wooden leg made a sharp scrape against the floor. My shoulders rose. June looked over from the oven. I expected her to say something. She only smiled. Len froze with both hands on the chair. "Did I break the house?" "No," I said. "Sounded expensive." "It's a chair." I went to the junk drawer, took out the felt pads, and brought them to the table. June made a noise behind me. "What?" I said. "Nothing." "You made a noise." "I was breathing." "You breathed judgmentally." Len watched me turn the chair over. Should I help?" "No, I've got it." The backing on the first pad refused to peel. I worried it with my thumbnail while the chicken crackled in the kitchen and my two guests stood around waiting for permission to exist. Then I stopped. I set the chair upright and put the pads on the sideboard. "It can wait," I said. June's eyebrows lifted. "Don't celebrate. I'm breathing." We ate at 6. The chicken was not dry, though June said the breast was headed in that direction. Len ate both wings and told a story about a man in his building who had tried to barbecue on a balcony using a disposable aluminum pan and what Len described as a dangerous amount of confidence. He had been divorced for 11 months. I learned that because June announced it while passing the potatoes. "June," he said. "What?" "You're divorced. It isn't a credential. It explains why you're available on a Sunday. So, does being unpopular? You're not unpopular, you're particular." Len looked at me. "This is how she recommends people. You should hear her criticize them." "I don't gossip," June said. "I distribute information." She filled my wine glass without asking. My sister was 63 and had worn her gray hair in the same blunt cut for 20 years, not because it flattered her, but because changing it would give other people too much satisfaction. She worked 3 days a week at a medical billing office despite claiming to be retired. She said retirement had too many mornings in it. She tasted the green beans. "These are good," she said. "Thank you." "You didn't ruin them with almonds." "I don't put almonds in green beans." "You did at Christmas. Those were hazelnuts." Len looked between us. "Should I leave?" "No," we said together. The food helped. It gave our hands something to do while the room adjusted around us. By the time I carved a second piece of chicken for Len, the empty places at the table no longer felt like evidence. Then June said, "So Evan erased you?" I put the carving fork down. "We were having a pleasant evening. We still are. Elaine gave you the theatrical version. Elaine gave me 4 sentences. You know she doesn't waste language." Len reached for his wine. "I can go stand in the hall." "You're fine," June told him. "I'm not sure I am," I said. "My son and his wife are changing their Sunday dinners. By removing your name," June said. "Temporarily, according to the people who don't know how long." I looked at her. "Did you come here to keep me company or conduct an investigation?" "I came because you called me for the first time in 3 weeks. I've called. You texted me a picture of an air filter. You bought the wrong size. That is not human contact. It prevented damage to your furnace." "Your Honor," Len said, "I'd like the record to reflect that I regret accepting the turnover assignment." June ignored him. "You cancel on me whenever one of your children needs something. We were supposed to have lunch in May. Evan needed help moving a bookcase. He owns a dolly. It was upstairs. And in March, Rachel had car trouble. She had a warning light. The car was fine. You want me to apologize for helping my daughter? I want you to admit you disappear into being helpful and then act abandoned when nobody sees you." The room became quiet. Len studied his plate with the concentration of a man attempting to memorize a potato. I said, "That sounds rehearsed. It's been waiting." "For what?" "For you to make too much chicken." I could have answered her in 6 ways. Most of them would have turned the evening into a trial where I was both defendant and judge. Instead, I took a drink of wine. "That's fair," I said. June blinked. Len looked up. "Is it over?" "No," June said. "He's trying something new. I'm eating dinner. You admitted I was right. I admitted part of what you said was fair." "What part?" "Don't ruin it." The doorbell rang before she could. Rachel stood on the porch with Tom behind her and a glass container in her hands. Through the lid, I could see slices of apple pie. She looked past me into the dining room. "Oh," she said. It was not an insult. It was surprise mixed with something harder to name. "Hello," I said. "We brought your pie. I recognize it. We thought you might want the rest." Tom lifted one hand. "Hi, sir." "Tom." Rachel looked toward the table again. June waved with her fork. Len gave a small, guilty nod, as though he had been caught in someone else's chair. "Are we interrupting?" Rachel asked. "We're eating. I can see that. Do you want to come in?" She hesitated. Tom said, "I could eat." "You just ate," Rachel told him. "I participated." "That's different." June called from the table. "There's chicken." Tom stepped around Rachel. She gave him a look, then entered after him. I got 2 plates from the cabinet. Rachel set the pie on the counter beside the unopened bakery box. You made dessert? She asked. Len brought turnovers. Who's Len? From the dining room, he said, still determining that. Rachel lowered her voice. Can I talk to you? We're talking. Privately. I led her to the living room. I did not suggest the laundry room. She folded her arms. Evan told everyone you refused to watch the house. I did. He says you're using Roscoe to make him feel guilty. I offered to care for Roscoe. He said you're trying to split the request so you can look generous. That sounds like Evan. He's upset. So am I. I know, but you invited people over on the exact same night. I called my sister. And him? She tilted her head toward the dining room. He came with June. Does that happen often? I met him at the door. Rachel glanced toward the sound of Tom laughing. Evan thinks you're creating an alternative dinner. Evan doesn't know I have company. He will. Are you planning to report it? That's not what I mean. You keep saying that. She rubbed her forehead. This is getting out of control. 4 people ate chicken at my house. 6 now. You brought Tom because I was worried about you. And now? She looked at the single lamp burning beside my chair, the book on the armrest, the clean room. I wondered what she had expected to find. Me sitting in the dark with the menu board recreated on a legal pad? Now I'm confused, she said. Why? You seem fine. I am not required to perform my injury for it to count. Her face changed. That's not fair, she said. I'm learning I use that sentence often. I didn't come to attack you. You came from a dinner I was removed from to tell me the person who removed me is upset by my response. He's my brother. I know, and you're my father. I know that too. I'm trying to keep this from becoming permanent. I didn't make the decision, but you can make it worse. There it was. The old family arrangement. Evan struck the match, and somebody brought me the bucket. I went back to the dining room. Rachel followed. Sit, I said. What? You brought pie. Tom wants chicken. Sit. This conversation isn't finished. It can survive a meal. June passed Tom the potatoes. Len moved his wineglass to make room. Rachel remained standing another moment, then took the chair beside mine. Nobody mentioned Evan for the rest of dinner. Tom praised the chicken with the enthusiasm of a man trying to earn parole. Len opened the turnovers, and Rachel warmed them in the oven. June told an embarrassing story about me getting locked out of a motel room in Ohio wearing one shoe. I corrected 3 details, then gave up because her version was better. After they left, Rachel stayed to help with dishes. She washed, I dried. The chair scratched the floor all night at Evans, she said. I know. You weren't there. I heard it last week. Mara kept looking at it. The felt pads are on the sideboard. Rachel glanced over. You could have fixed it. Yes. She handed me a plate. Was that hard? Yes. She nodded as if I had answered a different question. At the door, she kissed my cheek. I'm not taking sides, she said. You already are. So am I. That isn't helpful. Not everything has to be. After she drove away, I went back to the dining room. One of the felt pads had disappeared from the package. I found it stuck neatly beneath the leg of Rachel's chair. The chair by the window was still bare. I left both chairs exactly as they were. Monday morning, Evan sent me a text. Rachel says you had people over. Glad you enjoyed your evening. There are messages that invite an answer, and messages that set a trap with punctuation. I put the phone face down and made coffee. At 9:15, another one appeared. Mara says Roscoe can stay with you. We'll bring his stuff Friday so he can do a test night. No mention of the house, no mention of dinner. He had arranged the facts in separate drawers again. I replied, Friday is fine. He sent a thumbs up. The thumb felt hostile. June called before lunch to tell me Len had enjoyed himself. He said your chicken was excellent, she said. He ate 2 wings. He also said you were emotionally constipated. I liked him better before this call. I told him you were recently wounded. I wasn't attacked by a bear. Family wounds are worse. A bear doesn't ask you to water its garden afterward. I carried my coffee out to the garage and sat on the workbench. The clean paintbrushes were still lined up on the towel like surgical instruments. Are you free next Sunday? I asked. June became quiet. Don't make it important, I said. I'm trying not to scare you. You've been invited to dinner before, not by you twice in a row. You're becoming difficult. I was always difficult. You were busy. Can you come or not? No. I'm going to a concert with Diane. Who's Diane? A woman with interests outside your children. Enjoy the concert. Invite someone else. I don't need to host every Sunday. You bought food for 4 people by accident. Your subconscious is catering. After we hung up, I considered calling Len. I had his number because he had texted me a picture of the bakery label after leaving, apparently determined to prove that rustic had been used without supporting evidence. I typed, "Chicken again, Sunday if you're free." Then I deleted it. Too abrupt. I typed, "I'm making dinner Sunday. You're welcome to join me." That sounded like I was offering shelter during a storm. I settled on, "Dinner Sunday at 6. No emergency required." He responded less than a minute later. "Yes, I'll bring something urban." I laughed alone in the garage, which was either progress or a warning sign. On Wednesday, I ran into Gloria Bennett at a diner near the old municipal building. She and I had worked together for 21 years. She handled purchasing, which meant she spent half her career telling me I could not have the equipment I needed, and the other half finding it cheaper than I could. She was sitting in a booth with a newspaper spread beside her coffee. Her silver braids were gathered behind her head, and her glasses hung from a red cord around her neck. "Martin Hale," she said. "You look unsupervised." I retired. "That isn't what I meant." The diner was crowded, so she moved her newspaper and nodded at the seat across from her. I sat. A waitress came over and asked whether I wanted coffee. Before I could answer, Gloria said, "He wants coffee, 2 eggs over medium, wheat toast, and he'll pretend he doesn't want bacon until he smells mine. I can order. You were taking too long." The waitress looked at me. "She's right about the bacon," I said. Gloria waited until the coffee arrived. "What are you doing here on a Wednesday?" "Eating breakfast. You used to eat at home because restaurant coffee was hot brown regret." "I can change." "No, you can't. That's why I'm asking." I added cream to the coffee. I had an empty morning. "You've had empty mornings for 2 years. Maybe I noticed this one." She studied me over the rim of her cup. "How's Evan?" Why do people ask about my children before they ask about me? Because when I ask how you are, you say fine. I'm fine. There. Efficiency. I smiled. She folded her newspaper. "How are you, actually?" "My son uninvited me from Sunday dinner and asked me to watch his house for a month." Gloria stared. "I'm sorry," I said. That was more direct than I intended. "No, I'm enjoying it. Usually I need 3 meals and a flat tire to get a personal fact from you." She listened while I gave her the short version. Unlike Elaine, she interrupted often and with purpose. "Why were you inspecting his thermostat?" "It was set to 74. That's a legal temperature. In winter, still legal. And the garage shelves. He stored electrical cords under a leak." "You moved the cords?" "I moved everything." "Did he ask?" "He didn't know there was a leak." Martin. "I see the pattern. Do you?" "Yes. Because your face says you see a group of people failing to appreciate preventative maintenance." Our food came. Gloria slid 2 strips of bacon onto my plate. "What did you tell him about the house?" she asked. "I'll take the dog." "Not the house." "Good," Elaine agrees. "Then I disagree on principle." "You just said good. I contain multitudes." I ate a piece of bacon. Gloria said, "What are you doing Sunday?" "Having dinner." "With whom?" "A man named Len." "Romantic." "My sister brought him over." "Less romantic, depending on your sister." "Would you like to come?" The question came out so simply that I almost checked beneath the table to see who had said it. Gloria's expression shifted. Not pity. Surprise. "Yes," she said. "What should I bring?" "Nothing." "Then I'm bringing greens because your idea of a vegetable is a potato wearing parsley." On Friday, Mara arrived at 4 with Roscoe. The blue binder, a dog bed, 2 bags of food, a basket of medication, and enough blankets for an expedition across the Arctic. Roscoe entered my house, sniffed the bottom of the sofa, drank half a bowl of water, and fell asleep on the kitchen floor. "He seems traumatized," I said. "He's hiding it." Mara lined up his pill bottles on the counter. "This one is with dinner. This one is at bedtime. Half of this one in the morning if he's stiff." I know you know. You're explaining it anyway. I learned from the best." She said it lightly, but her eyes met mine. I let her finish. Evan had not come. His truck was not in the driveway, and Mara had driven her own car. "Where is he?" I asked. "Meeting the house service." "You found someone?" "Yes. They'll come every day, meet the contractor, take in packages, check the water." "That sounds expensive." "It is less expensive than canceling the trip and cheaper than a month of marriage counseling." I looked at her. "Joke," she said. "Was it?" "Mostly." She crouched beside Roscoe and adjusted the blanket he was not using. Evan thinks I went behind his back. You told me you weren't asking his permission? I was feeling bold on the phone. What changed? He spent 3 evenings creating interview questions for house sitters. That sounds like him? That sounds like both of you? I leaned against the counter. I'm not trying to cause problems between you. I know. He is. That's not what I said. No, it's what I said. Roscoe opened one eye, decided our conversation did not involve food, and closed it. Mara stood. Evan can be thoughtless when he feels criticized. He hears one complaint and starts defending himself against 10 nobody made. I've noticed. You do the opposite. What's the opposite? You go quiet until everybody else supplies the accusations for you. That seems to be going around. Martin, I'm not asking you to watch the house. Good. I am asking you not to use me as evidence against your son. I haven't. You asked me who erased your name. You answered, and I felt guilty about it all week. I didn't make him erase it, no. But you know how to ask a question that leaves somebody holding the knife. She picked up her purse. At the door, she turned back. For what it's worth, I told him to invite you this Sunday. What did he say? That it would look like you won. The sentence might have hurt if it hadn't been so revealing. Did you tell him dinner isn't a contest? I told him marriage isn't one either. We're working through several themes. She kissed the top of Roscoe's head, then surprised me by kissing my cheek. Thank you for taking him. You don't have to thank me. Yes, she said. I do. Roscoe slept beside my bed that night. At 2 a.m, he woke me by pushing his nose into my hand. I took him outside in my slippers and stood under the porch light while he inspected the yard. The air smelled like damp soil. Somewhere down the block, a garage door opened and closed. Roscoe finished his business, then wandered toward the side gate. I called his name. He ignored me. Your father says I need control, I told him. Roscoe lifted his leg against my rain barrel. You're making his case. The test night became the weekend because Mara had errands and Roscoe seemed comfortable. On Sunday afternoon, Len arrived with a bowl of something he called deconstructed lasagna. Gloria came 10 minutes later, carrying collard greens and a chocolate cake. This is dinner, not a funeral, I told her. In my family, the food is the same. Rachel texted just before 5. Are you having people over again? I wrote, yes. 3 dots appeared. Is it okay if Tom and I come? I looked at the table. 4 places were set. I had enough food for 8 because restraint had not yet reached my grocery shopping. I wrote, you're welcome if you want dinner. I'm not discussing Evan tonight. She answered, deal. When they arrived, Roscoe greeted them at the door. Rachel stared at him. Evan said this was only a test night. He passed. She glanced at the people behind me and lowered her voice. Evan knows they're here. Who? Everyone. I'm not hiding dinner. He says you're recruiting people. I invited 2. You recruited Tom. Tom raised the bottle of wine he was carrying. I can wait in the car. Rachel ignored him. Celia told Mara, Mara told Evan, and he thinks this is getting ridiculous. Tell him he's welcome to think that at his house. Dad? No negotiations. That was the deal. Her mouth tightened, but she nodded. We ate. Gloria and June would have either adored or murdered each other. I couldn't decide which. Len's deconstructed lasagna turned out to be baked pasta he had dropped and rearranged. Tom ate 3 servings. Rachel relaxed enough to argue with Gloria about city parking. Near the end of dinner, headlights swept across the front window. Roscoe raised his head. A truck door slammed. Evan knocked once and entered before I reached the hallway. He stopped when he saw the table. Nobody spoke. His gaze moved from Rachel to Tom, then Gloria, then Len. Finally, he looked at Roscoe, lying comfortably beneath my chair. So, this is what we're doing now, he said. I stood between him and the dining room. I'm eating dinner, I said. In my family's place. You removed me from your table, Evan. His jaw worked. Behind me, a chair shifted against the floor. It did not scrape. Someone had put felt pads on all 4 legs. Evan's eyes went to the chair, then to me. You know what I mean. I don't think I do. You've got Rachel here. You've got Roscoe. You even set the table the same way. There are only so many ways to set a table. This is a performance. Gloria took a drink of wine. Len became intensely interested in the cake. I stepped into the hallway and pulled the dining room door halfway closed behind me. Why are you here? I asked. To pick up my dog. Mara said he could stay through the weekend. It's Sunday. Dinner isn't over. He's not eating dinner. Roscoe had been given a piece of chicken by at least 3 people. Technically, Evan was wrong. Did Mara send you? I asked. No. Does she know you're here? His nostrils flared. There are questions asked for information, and questions asked because you already have it. I had used the second kind. Mara was right about the knife. I tried again. Roscoe is ready whenever you want to take him. That easy? He's your dog. Evan looked past me toward the dining room. Who are those people? You know Rachel and Tom? Don't. Gloria is a former coworker. Len is June's friend. June was here last week. Yes. Does Mom come next? Elaine isn't your mother's name anymore, only when you're angry with her. You know what I meant. No, Elaine isn't coming. Did you invite her? I invited people I wanted to eat with, and made sure Rachel knew. Rachel asked to come. Behind the door, a fork touched a plate. Everyone had stopped pretending not to listen. Evan lowered his voice. You couldn't give me one Sunday. The sentence was so upside down, I had to turn it around in my head. You excluded me from your dinner. I asked for space. You erased my name and invited my daughter, my sister. Both can be true. You're making her choose. She walked through my door by herself. You're enjoying this? No. That answer surprised him. I could have lied and said I wasn't angry. I could have said the dinner meant nothing and stumbled into existence around me. But the sight of him standing in my hallway, offended that I had not spent the night waiting to be restored, had burned away my interest in making him comfortable. I enjoyed dinner, I said. I enjoyed being asked questions that weren't about a clogged drain. I enjoyed Len's terrible pasta and Gloria insulting my vegetables. I did not enjoy wondering when you would hear about it and decide it belonged to you. His face reddened. You want me to apologize for needing a break from you? I want you to stop calling exclusion a break as if I'm supposed to wait where you left me. The dining room door opened. Rachel stepped into the hallway. Can both of you lower your voices? She asked. We are lowering them, Evan said. You're doing that thing where the quieter you get, the worse it is. Evan turned on her. Why are you here? I was invited. By him. That's how invitations work. You told me you weren't taking sides. I'm eating chicken at his replacement dinner. There is no replacement dinner. Then why are all of you here? Because I wanted to be. He stared at her. Rachel crossed her arms. You don't get to uninvite Dad and then object when someone else invites him. I didn't say he couldn't eat. Gloria's voice came from the table. Generous. I shut the door the rest of the way. Evan pointed toward it. This is exactly what I'm talking about. You've told strangers. Gloria isn't a stranger. She is to me. Then her opinion shouldn't trouble you. You made me the villain. You wrote the scene. He laughed without humor. There's the calm voice. Everybody hear that? He gets to say whatever he wants as long as he says it like he's reading weather. Don't bring them into this. You already did. Rachel stepped between us, though neither of us was close enough to require it. Evan, go get Roscoe, she said. Stay out of it. I've been in it since you put my name on that board. I asked if you wanted to come. You asked if I wanted a smaller dinner. You didn't say the only person being removed was Dad. I didn't hide it. You didn't explain it. I shouldn't have to get committee approval for who eats in my house. No, I said, you shouldn't. Both of them looked at me. It is your house, I continued. You can invite anyone you want. You can leave me out. What you can't do is decide what I do after. Evan's mouth tightened. So, that's your final answer on the house? My answer hasn't changed. You know the service is charging us $1,400? I didn't know. For things you could do. For things you decided were necessary. You're costing us money to prove a point. No. The work costs money. You're learning that because I'm not doing it for free. Rachel looked down. Evan stared at me for another few seconds, then walked into the dining room. I followed him. Roscoe lifted his head when Evan picked up the leash from beside the dog bed. His tail thumped once. Come on, Evan said. Roscoe got to his feet slowly. Len moved his chair to make room. Gloria did not. Evan clipped on the leash. Nice meeting everyone, he said, in a tone that made it clear the experience had not been nice. Gloria said, likewise. Len said, there's cake. Evan looked at him. Or not, Len added. Tom stood. Want help with the bed? I've got it. He did not have it. The dog bed was wider than the doorway, and the blanket slid off twice while he tried to carry it with one hand and hold Roscoe's leash with the other. Normally, I would have taken the bed without asking. I stayed where I was. Tom took it. Outside, Roscoe climbed into the back seat of Evan's truck. Tom loaded the bed. Rachel remained on the porch with her arms folded. Evan shut the truck door. "We leave a week from Tuesday," he said to me. "I know. Mara still wants Roscoe here. My offer stands. I need to think about it. All right, you're not the only option." "I know." He opened the driver's door. Rachel said, "Are you going to call me?" He looked at her. "Why?" "You seem busy." "Don't do that." "Do what?" "Make me pay because I didn't help you punish Dad." "I wasn't punishing him." "Then neither am I." He got into the truck and left. Rachel watched his taillights until they disappeared around the corner. "He'll call," I said. "You don't know that? He always calls you." "That doesn't mean he'll call this time." She went back inside before I could offer another prediction. Dinner resumed, but not really. We sat in the same chairs and ate chocolate cake, while the shape of the confrontation remained at the table. Gloria cut her slice with the side of her fork. "He was rude," she said. "He was angry," Rachel replied. "Those are not mutually exclusive. You don't know him. I know the part that walked into somebody else's house and insulted the guests." Rachel's eyes flashed. "He's not usually like that. Most people aren't usually anything. Circumstances reveal the available options." "Gloria," I said. "What?" "She didn't come here to defend him to strangers. She just did." Len cleared his throat. "The cake is excellent." "You brought store-bought pasta," Gloria told him. "Your standards are compromised. It was assembled by hand, after being dropped. Gravity is a cooking method." Tom laughed. Rachel didn't, but the corner of her mouth moved. I let the conversation shift. That was harder than directing it and more useful. After everyone left, I found Roscoe's blue binder still on the kitchen counter. Evan had taken the dog, the bed, the food, and the medication basket, but forgotten the instructions he claimed I needed. Inside the front cover, the 4-page house schedule remained. A small brass key had been clipped to the top sheet. I unfastened it and held it in my palm. He must have added it before bringing the binder to my house on Tuesday. Or maybe Mara had. Either way, someone had expected my refusal to wear off. I put the key in an envelope and wrote even across the front. Mara called the following morning. "I'm sorry," she said before hello. "For which part?" "He had no right to show up like that. It's his dog. You know I don't mean Roscoe." I sat at the kitchen table with the envelope in front of me. "Did he tell you what happened?" "Several versions. He's adding details as he calms down. That seems backward. He said Rachel was there. She asked to come. He feels betrayed. She's allowed to have dinner in 2 places. I told him that. How'd it go?" "He slept in the guest room." "I'm sorry, I'm not." "He snores." I smiled, then stopped. Her marriage was not a joke I needed to enjoy. "Mara, I don't want you calling me to discuss Evan. I'm calling about Roscoe. You opened with the guest room," she sighed. "Fine, we need you to take him." "We? I need you to take him." "Evan has spent all morning researching kennels. He knows my offer stands. He wants you to ask." "For the dog?" "He wants you to acknowledge that we need the favor. You do need the favor." "I know that. You know that. He knows that." Unfortunately, all 3 of you knowing something has never guaranteed anyone will say it. I turned the envelope over. "He has to ask me himself," I said. "That's stubborn. Yes, you sound proud." "I'm practicing honesty." She was quiet. Then she said, "I'll tell him." Evan did not call that day. He did not call the next one either. Rachel reported nothing. I didn't ask. On Thursday evening, while I was putting groceries away, my phone rang. "Roscoe needs to be at your house Monday night," Evan said. "That's not a question." A pause. "Can you keep him while we're gone?" "Yes." "Just him?" "Yes." "The service will handle the house." "Good. They won't stay overnight." "That is between you and the service." Another pause. "Can I bring his things Sunday?" "I'm having dinner." "Of course you are. You can bring him Monday. We leave early Tuesday. Monday works." "All right." He sounded tired rather than angry. For the first time, I heard the cost beneath his position. Not the $1,400. The effort of holding himself rigid against everyone he thought was judging him. I almost softened the answer into an offer. I almost told him I could come get Roscoe, help load the car, check the watering timer one last time. Instead, I said, "There's a house key clipped inside the binder." Silence. "That's for emergencies. I'm returning it." "What if the service can't reach someone?" They have contacts. You're first. Take me off. That's dramatic. No, it's accurate. Monday evening, Evan and Mara arrived together. Roscoe came with his bed, food, blankets, pills, stainless steel bowls, 2 leashes, and a stuffed duck missing one wing. Evan carried everything inside without asking for help. Mara placed the binder on my counter. I handed Evan the envelope. He opened it, saw the key, and looked at me. "You could keep it," he said. "No, just in case." "No." His fingers closed around the key. Mara knelt beside Roscoe, murmuring into his fur. Evan stood near the door with the envelope crumpled in one hand. "We'll text when we get to Portland," Mara said. "Drive safely." Evan opened the door. For 1 second, I thought he might say something about Sunday, or the house, or what waited between us. He only said, "His bedtime pill is the white one." I know, they left. Roscoe stood at the window until their tail lights vanished. Then he came into the kitchen and leaned against my leg. On the counter, the blue binder lay closed. The house schedule was still inside it, but the key was gone. I moved the house schedule to the back of the binder and opened to Roscoe's medication chart. The white pill was in a bottle labeled bedtime in Mara's handwriting. Underneath, she had added hide and cheese. He spits it out of peanut butter. "I know," I told Roscoe. He watched me cut a square of cheddar and pressed his nose against my knee. "Your father thinks I need 4 pages. Roscoe swallowed the cheese whole. I checked the floor in case the pill had fallen out. It hadn't. Then I checked his mouth. He tolerated this with the patience of an animal who understood that human dignity was fragile. At 11:14, Mara texted that they had reached their hotel outside Cleveland. She included a picture of Evan leaning against the hood of the car, holding a paper coffee cup, and looking towards something beyond the frame. He appeared tired. Happy too, though I might have imagined that, because I wanted the trip to be worth the trouble. I sent her a picture of Roscoe asleep, with his head on the stuffed duck. Mara replied with 3 hearts. Evan did not reply at all. Roscoe woke me at 6 the next morning by breathing directly into my face. His breath suggested that something had died inside him and was requesting burial. "You have a yard?" I said. His tail struck the dresser. "I'm retired," the tail continued. We walked. I had not taken a morning walk without a destination in years. Walking for exercise always seemed like moving furniture from one side of a room to the other and calling it travel. Roscoe, however, had destinations everywhere. A telephone pole, a hedge, a patch of grass that required 6 minutes of private research. By the 3rd morning, we had a route. Down Brookfield, left at the church, around the small park, and home past the house with the stone bird bath. Roscoe moved slowly, but he moved with purpose. People waved at him. Some of them waved at me because I was attached. On Thursday, Mara called from Portland. "Put me on speaker," she said. "For the dog?" "Yes." He doesn't understand phones. He understands my voice. I set the phone on the floor. "Roscoe," Mara called. "Roscoe, where's my handsome man?" Roscoe looked at the phone, then at me. His eyebrows lifted. "He thinks you're trapped," I said. "Show me his face." I switched to video and aimed the screen toward him. Roscoe sniffed it once, sneezed, and walked away. "Devastating," Mara said. "You've been rejected." He takes after the Hales. I carried the phone to the kitchen while Roscoe drank water. "How's Oregon?" I asked. "Green? Wet? Everyone owns the same black rain jacket." "And work?" "Almost done." In the background, I heard a hotel door open. Evan said, "Did you ask him?" Mara's face shifted. "Ask me what?" I said. Evan appeared over her shoulder. "The house service can't meet the contractor tomorrow." "Why?" "Their morning person has the flu. They have more than one person. They can send somebody at 3. The contractor says he'll only be there at 9. Then one of them will need to change." Evan looked at the phone. "Can you go over?" "No." "It would be an hour." "No." Mara turned slightly toward him. "I told you." He ignored her. "They need somebody to open the back gate and stay while he measures. The service has a key. The contractor wants someone there. Then he can come at 3. He can't. Reschedule. The cabinets are already delayed." I leaned against my kitchen counter. Roscoe drank noisily behind me. Evan said, "You're 10 minutes away. 12, Dad. You hired the service. Let them provide the service. They can't tomorrow morning. They offered 3. Why are you making this so difficult?" I'm not in the room. He stared at me through Mara's screen. I'm asking for 1 hour. I'm saying no for the third time. Mara lowered the phone. I heard them speak, but not the words. Roscoe finished drinking and wiped his mouth against my pant leg. When Mara raised the phone again, Evan was gone. I'm sorry, she said. Don't be. He says he'll call the contractor. Good. I know you're trying to hold a boundary. I'm sitting in my kitchen. You can do both. She looked exhausted. The hotel room behind her was bright and anonymous. One white bedspread and a framed print of a bridge that might not have existed. How is the trip otherwise? I asked. Good. It came too quickly. Mara, we drove 1,800 miles together. There have been moments. Is he ruining this because of me? No. He is ruining parts of it because of him. I'm ruining other parts because of me. That's marriage. I wouldn't know. You were married 26 years, and then I wasn't. She looked toward the side of the room where Evan had gone. I wanted this month, she said, not Oregon, the part after. I wanted to remember that we like each other when nobody needs anything. I understood more than I wanted to. Then stop discussing the house, I said. That is excellent advice from the man who refused to watch it. I didn't refuse so you could spend the trip managing me. A smile appeared. You're getting better at this? At disappointing people? At letting them solve their own problems? The contractor agreed to 3. I learned that from Mara, not Evan. She sent me a picture later of 2 glasses of beer on a wooden table with the message, "Cabinets survived." I replied with a photograph of Roscoe's empty food bowl. So did dinner. The first Sunday with Roscoe began with rain. He stood beneath the porch roof, looked at the yard, and decided his bladder had principles. You lived outside before they rescued you, I told him. He backed farther from the steps. I held an umbrella over him while he went. By noon, June had called to ask what she should bring. You're coming, I said. You invited me last Monday. You said you had a concert. That was last Sunday. Oh, it's touching how little you track my life. I track it. I placed the concert in the wrong week. Diane canceled anyway. So you're free because she canceled. You're free because your son erased you. We all arrived through circumstance. She brought a pan of macaroni and cheese and criticized the chicken before I had put it in the oven. Gloria came with greens again. Len carried a ceramic bowl covered with foil. What is it? I asked. Structured lasagna. You mean regular lasagna? I've returned to tradition. Rachel and Tom arrived at 5:40. Rachel had a bottle of wine, and Tom carried a tool bag. I looked at it. Why? Rachel said your bathroom faucet drips. Rachel turned on him. I said it dripped once. You told me to bring the wrench. I said you could look at it. I held out my hand. Tom gave me the tool bag. I set it in the hall closet. After dinner, he asked. No, it might need a washer. It can drip. He looked worried. For how long? Until I decide to fix it. Gloria called from the dining room. He's in recovery. I can hear you, I said. That's why I said it loudly. The table was crowded enough that I added one of the folding chairs from the basement. I started to place myself at the end, then stopped. The end made me feel responsible for everyone's plate. I sat between June and Len. There were mistakes. Gloria put too much vinegar in the greens. June's macaroni had hardened around the edges. My chicken rested too long and arrived lukewarm. Nobody died. Halfway through dinner, my phone buzzed on the sideboard. Mara was calling. I declined it. The phone rang again. June looked at me. Could be important. It's dinner. Could still be important. I answered and stepped into the kitchen. Evan's voice came through before I said hello. The watering system is off. What? The service sent pictures. The garden beds are dry. Did they check the timer? They said the display is blank. Breaker may have tripped. Can you go look? Behind me, I could hear Len explaining to Gloria why the lasagna needed more structural integrity. Tell them to check the breaker panel, I said. They left. Then call them back. They're closed. The garden will survive until morning. It's supposed to be 92 tomorrow. Then water it tomorrow. The Japanese maple is already stressed. It's a tree. It cost $800. Then you should have included it in the emergency contacts. That's funny. I'm eating. So, this is more important? I looked through the doorway at the table. June was stealing a crisp piece of macaroni from Tom's plate. Rachel caught her and slid the entire corner section across. Gloria was adding hot sauce to Len's lasagna while he protested. Yes, I said. The word felt clean. Evan was silent. Tell the service to use the hose in the morning, I continued. The breaker panel is in the basement beside the utility sink. Sprinkler control is breaker 16. You know that from memory, yes. But you won't go. No, you're unbelievable. Enjoy California. We're still in Oregon. Enjoy Oregon. I ended the call. When I returned, nobody asked what Evan wanted. That was kindness, though June's eyebrows nearly injured themselves trying not to rise. We finished dinner. Len cut the chocolate cake Gloria had brought the week before and insisted I had frozen. I had. Gloria complained that frozen cake was an insult to texture, then ate 2 slices. Afterward, Rachel and Tom washed dishes. June dried. Gloria sat at the table giving instructions nobody had requested. I took Roscoe into the yard. The rain had stopped. Water clung to the grass and darkened the porch boards beneath my slippers. Rachel came outside while Roscoe investigated the fence. Is the maple really $800? She asked. I don't know. Maybe. You could go over. I could. You're not going to? No. She tucked her hands into the pockets of her jacket. He called me first. That explained why she knew. What did you say? I said I was already here. He asked if Tom could go. I looked through the window. Tom was holding a plate while June instructed him on the correct way to dry it. What did Tom say? He said it wasn't his tree. I smiled. Rachel did too, then looked guilty for it. This feels mean, she said. What does? All of us saying no. You offered to check the house before they left. 1 night a week. Evan turned that into 4. Then you said no, after watching you. Roscoe reached the fence, turned around, and came back toward us. Rachel said, I always thought you liked doing everything. So did I. Didn't you? Sometimes. And the rest? I watched Roscoe choose a wet patch of grass and lower himself carefully. The rest of the time, I liked what I thought it bought me. Rachel leaned her shoulder against mine. It was not an apology. It was better. The service watered the maple at 8 the next morning. Breaker 16 had tripped. No one needed me to touch it. Evan sent no message. Mara sent a photograph of the Pacific Ocean under a gray sky. Roscoe and I walked past the church, around the park, and home by the stone bird bath. When we reached my driveway, a delivery van was pulling away. A long cardboard box leaned against the front door. My name was on the label. The return address belonged to Evan and Mara's house. Inside were the felt pads I had left on their entry table 3 Sundays earlier, along with a note in Evan's handwriting. Might as well use them at your place. Looks like you need more chairs now. I stood on the porch with the box in my hands. Then I looked through the window at my dining room chairs. Every one of them already had pads beneath its legs. I carried the box inside and set it on the dining table. The pads were still sealed in their paper bag. Evan had found them exactly where I left them, remembered why they were there, packaged them, printed a shipping label, and paid $9.80 to send them 12 minutes across town. Spite required more administration than people admitted. I picked up my phone and took a picture of the padded chair legs. My thumb hovered over Evan's name. I could have written. Too late? I could have written. Rachel handled it. Instead, I deleted the photograph and sent. Package arrived. Thank you. 3 hours later, he replied, just thought it was funny. I wrote, I know. That evening, Mara called to see Roscoe. She and Evan were in a town on the Oregon coast where the wind was loud enough to make her hold the phone against her ear with both hands. Show me his walk, she said. He walks the same here. I want to see. I aimed the phone down Brookfield while Roscoe pulled toward a hedge. Mara's face appeared in the corner of the screen, hair blowing across her mouth. Behind her, Evan stood near a railing, looking out at the ocean. Did you get the package? She asked. Yes. I told him not to send it. I thanked him. He was trying to be a jerk. He said he was trying to be funny. Those are neighboring states. Evan turned. I can hear you. You're supposed to, she told him. He came closer to the phone. Did you use them? The chairs already have pads. Of course they do. Rachel put them on. He blinked. Rachel? She noticed a problem and fixed it without being asked. That runs in the family. His mouth almost smiled. For a moment, we were simply 3 people discussing chair legs while an old dog examined a hedge. It felt strangely good. Then Evan said, the service missed a package today. Mara closed her eyes. I'm walking Roscoe, I said. It's a light fixture. The delivery company says they'll try again tomorrow. Then they'll try again tomorrow. It's supposed to rain. Light fixtures come in boxes. The box could get wet. Most boxes recover. Mara turned the phone toward herself. Good night, Martin. Good night. I wasn't finished, Evan said from somewhere outside the frame. Yes, you were. The call ended. Roscoe looked back at me. I thought we were making progress, I told him. He sneezed. The next Sunday was Gloria's idea. You've cooked 3 weeks in a row, she said when she called. That's how hospitality becomes a hostage situation. I like cooking, you like controlling the oven. There is a correct way to control an oven. Dinner at my place, 6 o'clock. What should I bring? Yourself. I can make bread. No. Wine. No. Dessert. No. What kind of dinner doesn't need anything? One I'm cooking. Her house was a narrow brick ranch on the other side of town, with blue shutters and a front yard full of flowering plants I couldn't name. The porch railing leaned half an inch toward the steps. I noticed. I did not touch it. Gloria opened the door before I knocked. You're early. By 4 minutes. Martin time is slipping. I held up an empty hand. She inspected it. No casserole? You said not to bring anything. And you listened? I stood in a bakery parking lot for 10 minutes, but yes, come in before you relapse. Her living room was colorful and crowded. Framed photographs covered one wall. Books were stacked beneath the windows, on the coffee table, and beside a chair that looked as if nobody had sat in it since 1987. A shelf above the fireplace slanted visibly to the left. I looked at it once. Gloria caught me. If you straighten that shelf, I'll break your fingers. It's not level. It holds nothing that rolls. That isn't the standard. It's my standard. I put my hands in my pockets. Len arrived with June, though June insisted they had not arrived together. They had merely used the same car from the same building at the same time. Rachel and Tom came next. Roscoe was invited too, but I left him at home because not every gathering needed to contain my son's dog as a symbol. Gloria had made short ribs, rice, greens, and cornbread. The table was round, which denied me any place that looked like a command post. When she set down the short ribs, I stood. Sit, she said. I'm moving the water. Tom can move the water. Tom reached for the pitcher. No, Gloria said. He's a guest too. We all sat while she moved it herself. This is inefficient, I said. It's dinner. I heard Mara's voice in that answer. I heard Elaine's too. Gloria sat beside me and handed June the serving spoon. The food was excellent. I said so before offering any observations. Gloria leaned close. Do you need medical attention? I'm complimenting dinner. You haven't mentioned salt. It doesn't need salt. She patted my hand. We're all very proud. Afterward, Len and I carried our coffee to the front porch while the others argued over a card game. The rain had cleared, leaving the air cool and damp. Gloria's leaning railing separated us from the flower beds. Len sat on the top step. I'm not having an affair with your sister, he said. I didn't think you were. She thinks you think we are. June thinks everybody thinks more about her than they do. She told me to make things clear. You've made them clear. We had dinner twice, once alone. She spent 40 minutes explaining her health insurance. That's intimate for June. Len laughed and looked down at his coffee. Carol used to handle Sundays, he said. Your former wife? He nodded. 40 years. She kept the calendar, chose the food, knew who was mad at whom. I thought people just appeared. What happened? She got tired of appearing for me. It was an answer that had been spoken before, probably to a therapist, perhaps to Carol. It still cost him something. She left? I asked. She asked me to leave. I kept waiting for her to calm down and invite me back. By the time I realized she was calm, she'd changed the locks. I'm sorry. Thank you. Inside, June shouted that Tom was cheating. Tom denied knowing the rules well enough to cheat. Len said, Is this dinner thing revenge? I looked toward the window. What dinner thing? He gave me a patient expression. I'm recently divorced, not recently stupid. I rested my forearms on my knees. At first, I said, I wanted to prove I could have a table without Evan. And now? Now I like the people at it. Both can be true. Everybody keeps telling me that. Maybe you keep needing it. I looked at him. He sipped his coffee. Your son hurt you. You made chicken. It's healthier than buying a motorcycle. I don't want a motorcycle. That's why I said healthier. Do you feel recruited? No, I feel fed. That answer loosened something in me. My phone vibrated. Evan. I considered letting it go to voicemail, then answered. Everything all right? Why do you always answer like somebody's in the hospital? People rarely call me from vacation to discuss joy. Where are you? Gloria's. Who? My former co-worker. The one from your dinner? Yes. You took Roscoe? He's at home. Alone? He can handle 3 hours. I thought he was nervous. He's asleep by 8. Evan was quiet. Where are you? I asked. Monterey. How is it? Fine. The ocean? Still there? Good. Another silence. Then he said, Mara went to bed early. Is she okay? She's tired. Are you? No. He sounded exactly like a tired man. I stepped off the porch and walked toward Gloria's driveway. What did you do today? I asked. We drove down from San Francisco, stopped at some overlook. Mara took about 60 pictures of the same water. That sounds like her. There were seals. Sea lions, probably. I know the difference. You called them seals. Forget it. I'm listening. He exhaled. The coast was nice. Good. It was a small word. I gave it nowhere to lead and did not fill the silence with advice. Finally, Evan said, The maple has brown leaves. It was stressed before. The service says it'll recover. They're probably right. I think the sprinkler breaker is bad. Could be. What kind should I buy? The answer arrived automatically. Brand, amperage, the location of the electrical panel label. I could have built him a shopping list from Gloria's driveway. I don't know without looking at it, I said. You know what panel I have. I remember the panel. I don't know what failed, so you won't tell me. I'm telling you not to replace a breaker based on a photograph of a brown leaf. He was quiet again. That actually makes sense, he said. I have moments. Don't get excited. Behind me, the front door opened. June called. Martin, Gloria says. If you're fixing something by phone, she's charging you for dinner. I'm not fixing anything. Evan heard her. Is that Aunt June? Yes. Tell her I said hi. I looked back at my sister standing under the porch light. Tell her yourself. I put the phone on speaker. Hello, Evan, June said. Hi, Aunt June. How's exile? I'm on vacation. I meant your father's. I didn't exile him. June opened her mouth. I took the phone off speaker. Not tonight, I told both of them. Evan surprised me by laughing. Good night, Dad. Good night. It was the first call since they left that did not end with either of us angry. The following week moved differently. I had coffee with Gloria on Tuesday. Len came by Wednesday to return a dish he had not borrowed from me, then stayed 2 hours. Rachel stopped in Thursday after work and ate cheese over the sink. Nobody needed a filter changed. The house service handled the wet package. The light fixture survived. The contractor delayed the cabinets again, for reasons unrelated to me. Evan sent one irritated message to the wrong family thread, deleted it, then sent, never mind. On Friday, Mara called from Arizona. Her face was pink from the sun, and behind her the sky looked too large to belong to anybody. We'll be home Wednesday, she said. That went fast. Not from inside the car. Roscoe will be ready. He's happy there. He misses you. How do you know? He stares at your photograph. You don't have a photograph of me. He stares at the refrigerator. She smiled, then glanced over her shoulder. We're doing Sunday dinner when we get back, she said. Oh. Evan wants things normal. What does normal mean? He invited everyone. I waited. You too, she added. As a guest? Her expression gave her away. What did he ask me to bring? Your chicken. Of course. He's trying. Did he ask you to call me? No. He assumes you'll come. The old answer rose in me. Yes, followed by shopping, seasoning, carving, and arriving early enough to repair the thing I had been asked not to notice. I already have plans Sunday, I said, with Gloria at my house. Mara looked tired again. I'll tell him. No, I said. Let him ask me himself. Mara looked at me for another second. You know he'll say you're making him chase you. He can call it a phone call. He doesn't know how to do this. Neither did I. She nodded. All right, she said. I'll let him fail on his own. Evan called 9 minutes later. Mara says you're having dinner Sunday. I usually do. At your house. Yes. We're having dinner too. I heard. I told her to invite you. She told me you assumed I'd come. I was going to call. You are calling. He made a frustrated sound. Fine. I'm inviting you. Thank you. And I thought you could bring the chicken everyone likes. I already bought food for my dinner. Move it to Saturday. No, you've had dinner there every week. 3 weeks. That's every week. So is Sunday. You're doing this on purpose. Of course I am. People don't accidentally invite guests and buy groceries. You know what I mean? Yes. I'm not canceling plans because you've decided I can come back. I didn't say you couldn't come back. You didn't say anything until Mara called. I am inviting you now, and I'm declining. The line went silent. I could hear road noise, then the click of a turn signal. He was probably driving while talking, something he criticized everyone else for doing. Are you trying to make this permanent? He asked. I don't know what this is yet. What does that mean? It means I've met people I like having dinner with. You already knew Aunt June. I knew her badly. You're choosing strangers over your family. I'm keeping a commitment. To Len and Gloria and June. Mom too? No, you should invite her. Really complete the set. This isn't about collecting people who agree with me, isn't it? No. He breathed through his nose. Mara says Roscoe's gained weight. Roscoe says Mara has no evidence. That means you've been feeding him from the table. He's 13. That's not an answer. He had chicken. How much? Good night, Evan. You always end the call when you don't like where it's going. Now you're learning boundaries. That isn't a boundary, it's avoidance. He was right. I stayed on the line. All right, I said. What do you actually want from me? I want one normal Sunday dinner. The old normal, yes. The one where I cook, arrive early, check your house, and leave with a list of things to do. Nobody gives you a list. You gave me 4 pages. That was for the trip. It was the clearest version. That's not fair. What would be fair? He didn't answer. I heard Mara say something in the background. Evan said, We're almost at the hotel. Drive safely. Sunday at 6 if you change your mind. I won't. Then I guess we have our answer. To what? He ended the call. Roscoe was asleep with one paw over his stuffed duck. I sat beside him on the floor and scratched the white fur under his chin. That could have gone better, I said. He opened one eye. It also could have gone worse. The eye closed. Elaine called the next morning. I'm told you're operating a rival restaurant, she said. Who told you? June. She's thrilled. She hasn't had this much family activity since the divorce. Whose divorce? Any of them. I poured coffee and carried it to the back steps. Roscoe followed. Evan invited me. Sunday, I said. Are you going? No. Good. You agree? I don't know. I enjoy certainty without information. I already invited people here. Then keep your plan. He thinks I'm trying to replace the family. Are you? No. That answer was fast. I'm not. Martin, if Evan apologized tomorrow and put your name back on that ridiculous board, would you cancel these new dinners? I looked down at Roscoe. He was sniffing along the edge of the porch where a beetle had disappeared. No, I said. Then Evan has correctly identified a change. That doesn't make it replacement. No. But stop telling yourself everything is temporary because permanence feels disloyal. I'm allowed to have friends. You are. We begged you to try it for 20 years. Nobody begged. I once signed you up for a bowling league. That was hostile. You went twice. The shoes were communal, she laughed. Then her voice softened. You don't need to reduce your life to prove you love your children. I know. But don't enlarge it just to prove you don't need them either. I watched Roscoe lower himself onto the warm porch boards with a grunt. You and Len have been comparing notes, I said. Who's Len? A man June isn't having an affair with. Give it time. Evan and Mara returned Wednesday afternoon, though they did not come for Roscoe until Thursday. Mara entered first. Roscoe saw her and transformed from an elderly dog with uncertain hips into something launched from machinery. His tail struck the wall. He barked, which I had heard only twice during the month, and pressed his whole body against her legs. She sat on the floor in my entryway and let him climb over her. My boy, she said into his fur. Did he mistreat you? Roscoe licked her face. He had cheese twice a day, I said. He did gain weight. He gained morale. Evan stood in the doorway holding Roscoe's empty travel basket. He looked tanned, tired, and thinner around the face. For a second, I wanted to hug him. Then he said, How much cheese? Come in. He stepped inside. We carried Roscoe's things to the kitchen. Mara checked the pill bottles while I told her which prescription needed refilling. Evan looked around as if expecting evidence of a month-long celebration. The faucet drips, he said. It has character. You would have replaced mine. I'm trying something. I can see that. It was not entirely sarcastic. Mara went outside to take a bag to the car, leaving Evan and me with the blue binder between us. The service left the upstairs windows unlocked, he said. Did anything happen? No. The maple? Alive. Brown on one side. It'll recover. The cabinets aren't done. They were delayed before you left. He traced a finger along the binder's edge. I could use help checking the sprinkler panel. Ask. His eyes lifted. You just did, I said. I can come Monday morning. Why not tomorrow? I have coffee with Gloria. Of course. At 10? For coffee? The panel. He looked surprised that I had agreed at all. 10's fine, he said, and I'll look at that. Not the windows, cabinets, garage, gutters, or anything else I notice. What if you notice something dangerous? I'll tell you. What if it needs fixing? We'll discuss it. A small smile appeared. Should I submit a request in writing? 3 copies. Mara returned. Did you invite him Sunday? She asked Evan. Yes. He has plans, Evan said. She looked at me. I do. We'll miss you, she said. It was simple. No accusation, no pressure. I'll miss you too. Evan picked up the binder. Roscoe followed them to the car, then tried to climb into the front seat. Mara redirected him to the back. Evan loaded the bed and came around to the driver's side. Monday at 10, he said. I'll be there. He paused with one hand on the door. You didn't even ask how the trip was. You said the coast was nice. That was one night. How was the rest? He looked toward Mara through the windshield. Complicated, he said. Good. I'm glad. He nodded and got into the truck. On Sunday, I set 5 places. Rachel and Tom had accepted Evan's invitation. She called that afternoon to explain, which I told her was unnecessary. I don't want you thinking I chose him, she said. You did choose him. For dinner, you know what I mean. Yes, and it's all right. He's been strange since they got back. He's been strange since birth. So have you. That's where he gets it. June arrived early with rolls. Len brought a salad containing grapes, walnuts, and an amount of cheese that suggested he had consulted no recipe. Gloria came last, carrying nothing. I was told to bring myself, she said. Who told you? You, eventually. I had made pot roast instead of chicken. This was partly because I wanted pot roast, and partly because chicken had become political. We ate slowly. Without Rachel and Tom, the table felt quieter, but not empty. June described her concert in enough detail to make me grateful I had placed it in the wrong week. Len complained that the salad had become too conceptual. Gloria asked whether the porch railing had always tilted, and I told her to mind her own house. At 8:15, the doorbell rang. Evan stood on the porch holding a plate covered in foil. I brought you dinner, he said. The gesture caught me unprepared. That was kind. He looked past me at the coats hanging in the entryway. They're still here? We had dessert. So your dinner runs 3 hours now. Sometimes. He handed me the plate. Through the foil, I could feel warmth. What did you make? I asked. Chicken. Thank you. June laughed at something from the dining room. Evan's face changed. You're really keeping this going. I stepped onto the porch and pulled the door nearly closed behind me. I told you I had plans. I thought it was dinner, not a replacement family. Don't call people you barely know my replacement family. You barely know them. I know June. You ignored her for years. The accuracy of it struck hard. And now you've decided she matters because I hurt your feelings. Maybe hurting my feelings made me notice things. So, I'm doing you a favor. No. He looked toward the window. Len's silhouette moved behind the curtain. Mara said, You'd miss us, Evan said. I did. You look devastated. What would be enough for you? Should I have eaten alone for a month? I wanted you to understand why I needed space. I understand more than you think. Do you? Yes. I made your house feel inspected. I offered help nobody asked for. You felt like you couldn't do anything without me measuring it against how I would have done it. His anger faltered. Then why are we still here? He asked. Because understanding why you hurt me doesn't erase that you did. I took you off one dinner. You told me you didn't know for how long. I was angry. So was I. You're still punishing me. At first, maybe some of this was proof. It isn't anymore. That's convenient. It's true. He looked toward the door again. You've turned everyone against me. Rachel ate at your house tonight. She left before coffee. That is not a betrayal. She said she was coming here next week. She hasn't asked me. She didn't have to. You've made it obvious. His voice had risen. The dining room behind me had gone quiet. Lower your voice, I said. There's the weather report. You were on my porch insulting my guests. I'm talking about my family. June is my family. Gloria and Len are my guests. You don't get to come inside angry and make them an audience. You made an audience before I got here. No. You brought dinner. I thanked you. Then you decided the people inside were evidence against you. His jaw tightened. I held out the foil-covered plate. You should take this back. Keep it. Evan, I said, keep it. He walked down the steps. Monday at 10, I called. He stopped at the sidewalk but did not turn around. Don't bother, he said. Then he got in his truck and drove away. I stood on the porch holding his chicken until the foil cooled beneath my fingers. When I went back inside, 4 people were pretending not to look at me. June had stacked the dessert plates. Len was folding and unfolding his napkin. Gloria sat with both hands around her coffee cup. I put Evan's chicken on the kitchen counter. Is he gone? June asked. Yes. You should have invited him in. He didn't want to come in. Did you ask? He insulted all of you. Gloria raised one eyebrow. I've survived worse. He called you a replacement family. Technically, he called us strangers first. Thank you, Gloria. I'm clarifying the sequence. Len looked toward the front window. He brought food, I noticed. That's usually a peace offering. He used it to get onto the porch and start another argument. June sat down. Or he brought food because you didn't go to his dinner. He could have said that. So could you. Said what? That you were glad he came. I thanked him. You thanked him like a mail carrier. I was a little surprised. You were a little hopeful, she said. Then he saw us, and both of you panicked. I didn't panic. You became extremely reasonable. That's your panic. Gloria pointed her coffee spoon at June. That is accurate. I leaned against the doorframe. I asked him to leave because he was insulting my guests. No, Gloria said. You asked him to leave because he came close to making you feel foolish in front of your guests. He was raising his voice. So were you. I was not. You were using your low, loud voice. Len nodded before realizing I could see him. Whose side are you on? I asked. He lifted both hands. I came with salad. June said, nobody's on a side. That's what Rachel says before choosing one. You know what your problem is? We've established several. You wanted Evan to apologize in the language you would respect. He showed up with chicken instead. And then accused me of turning everyone against him. Yes. He failed halfway through. Before halfway. Fine, a third. The boy has poor endurance. He's 43. Then the man has poor endurance. I went into the kitchen and began wrapping the pot roast. June followed me. You can be right and still miss your chance, she said. I'm not going to let him walk in here and treat people badly. You shouldn't. Then what are we discussing? The part before that. He saw you and decided dinner was a conspiracy. He saw you having something without him. That's what he wanted. No, he wanted to have something without you. He didn't imagine you having something without him. That isn't my responsibility. I know. Her voice softened enough to make me stop moving. He looked scared, she said. He looked angry. Those are neighboring states, Mara's phrase, delivered from my sister's mouth. I put the pot roast in the refrigerator. June touched my arm. I'm not telling you to crawl back. I'm telling you the door can have a lock without becoming a wall. Behind us, Gloria called, Are we cleaning or starting a therapy practice? You're cleaning, June said. By 9:30, everyone had left. Gloria hugged me at the door, which she disguised as an attempt to straighten my collar. Len thanked me twice. June took the leftover salad because nobody wanted it and she refused to waste walnuts. The foil-covered plate remained on the counter. At 10, I moved it to the refrigerator. At 11, I took it out again. Evan had made breasts with lemon and garlic. Green beans lay along one side, and mashed potatoes occupied the other. The chicken was cut into even slices. He had rested it before carving. I ate it cold at my kitchen table. It was good. I did not look for what I would have done differently. Monday morning, I was dressed by 9:30. The sprinkler panel appointment had been canceled in anger, not clarity. I stood in the garage with my truck keys and debated whether "don't bother" meant "don't come" or "please prove you will." The old me would have chosen the second interpretation because it offered something to do. I sent Evan a text. I'm available at 10 as agreed, but I won't come without an invitation. Let me know. At 10:15, no answer had arrived. I changed clothes and took Roscoe's old water bowl to the animal shelter. It belonged to Evan, technically, but he had left it because the bottom slid on my tile. I bought a rubber mat for the bowl at my house, then realized Roscoe no longer lived there. I stood in the pet aisle holding a blue silicone mat while a store employee asked whether I needed help. No, I said. Then I looked at the empty basket in my hand. Actually, where are the bird feeders? I did not own a bird. I bought one anyway. Mounting it beside the back steps took 12 minutes. I spent another 20 deciding whether it was too close to the window. Then I left it where it was. No bird came. At 4, Rachel stopped by. She carried the plate Evan had used, now washed, though I had left it in my sink after breakfast. How did you get that? I asked. I let myself in. You have a key? I've had a key since you went to Cincinnati 3 years ago. You're supposed to tell people before entering. I knocked. You were in the backyard staring at a bird feeder. I was observing. There are no birds. They need time. She put the plate on the counter. You ate it. Yes. How was it? Good. Did you tell him? No. Why? He hasn't answered my message. What message? I showed her. She read it twice. That sounds like a dentist confirming an appointment. It was clear. It was cold. I said I was available. You also said invitation, which is the word this family should retire. I took the phone back. Rachel opened my refrigerator, found the remaining pot roast, and ate a piece with her fingers. You have a home, I said. I came from work. Tom doesn't feed you? Tom believes protein powder is lunch. She leaned against the counter. Evan made the chicken himself, she said. I assumed. He doesn't usually. I know. He asked me how you keep the garlic from burning. What did you say? That I didn't know. You could have called. You weren't speaking. I speak to you, not about him. She put another piece of meat in her mouth. Mara told him to bring you a plate, she said. He said no. Then he packed it anyway and drove over before dessert. He didn't say any of that. He's your son. That isn't an explanation. Yes, it is. He did exactly what you do. He brought something useful because saying what he wanted would have been embarrassing. The refrigerator motor clicked on. I looked at the empty plate between us. What did he want? I asked. Rachel's expression changed. You really don't know? I want to hear what you think. He wanted you to miss him. I did. He wanted to see that. I told him. You said it on the porch after he accused you of lying. That was when it came up. She shook her head. I'm not saying he was right, she said. He walked into your house angry. He had no business insulting anybody. Thank you. Don't grab the one sentence that makes you innocent. I'm listening. Are you? Yes. She studied me. Then why did you send the plate back? I didn't. He refused to take it. You held it out. He had turned the gesture into an accusation. So you returned the gesture. I sat down. Rachel took the chair across from me. He told me Sunday dinners with you made him feel like he was auditioning, she said. Do you know what he meant? I think so. When we were at his house, he checked the chicken temperature 4 times. That dries it out. She stared at me. I'm sorry. He kept asking Mara if the table looked right. When Tom said the potatoes were good, Evan looked at the empty chair beside him. Mine? No, Ben was sitting where you usually sit. The empty one was at the end. I pictured the room, the board beside the refrigerator, Ben in my chair, another chair waiting for nobody. I didn't want an empty chair, I said. I know. I wanted him to talk to me. He doesn't know how. He's 43. You're 67. How old were you when you figured it out? This month. Exactly. I laughed, though I didn't enjoy it. Rachel reached across the table and put her hand over mine. You don't have to fix it today. I know. That wasn't a challenge. I know. Don't go to his house with tools. I wasn't planning to. You got dressed for the sprinkler panel. He canceled. In a sentence spoken during a fight. He didn't answer my text. What are you going to do? I looked at the empty plate. I don't know. That's new. After Rachel left, I called Mara. She answered from her office. Is everything okay? She asked. Yes. I'm not calling about Evan. That sounds promising. I'm calling about the chicken. A pause. I'm listening. Did you tell him to bring it? I suggested it. Why? Because he spent all afternoon complaining that you wouldn't be at dinner. What did he say? That you were making some grand statement with pot roast. How did he know it was pot roast? Rachel told us. Of course. I told him if he missed you, he could take you a plate. He said he didn't miss you. Then he checked the oven every 6 minutes and burned the first batch of garlic. I looked out the window. A small brown bird landed on the feeder, took one seed, and flew away. He came, I said. He did, and I handled it badly. So did he. I know. I'm trying not to grab the sentence that makes me innocent. Rachel visited. Yes. Mara sighed. What do you want me to do? She asked. Nothing? Then why did you call? To say it out loud. She was silent. That really is new, she said. I should let you work. Martin? Yes? Evan thinks you don't need him now. I never needed him to flush my downstairs toilet. You know what I mean. Yes. He needed space from your help. He didn't want space from being your son. He chose an interesting method. I didn't say he was smart. I called Evan that evening. He did not answer. I waited for the tone. It's Dad. I ate the chicken. It was good. I nearly stopped there. I was glad you came Sunday. I didn't say it because I got defensive when you saw everyone inside. You were rude to my guests, and I was more interested in being right than understanding why you brought the plate. Both are true. I rubbed my thumb along the edge of the kitchen table. I don't want to go back to the old Sunday dinner. I also don't want to lose you. If you want to talk, call me. No house, no sprinkler, no dinner board. Just talk. I ended the message. Evan did not call that night. He did not call Tuesday. Wednesday afternoon, I was having coffee with Gloria when my phone buzzed. Evan had sent 4 words. Thursday. Oak Street Diner, noon. Gloria watched me read the message. Problem? She asked. No. I put the phone face down. My son invited me to lunch. Gloria lifted her coffee. Did he use the word invite? No. Then he summoned you. He suggested a time and place. That is how courts operate. I'm going. I assumed. You're already sitting straighter. I looked down at myself. I always sit like this. You're mentally ironing your shirt. She reached across the table and turned my phone back over. Answer him. I typed, I'll be there. Evan responded with a check mark. Gloria watched. Warm, she said. It's progress. The next morning, I changed shirts 3 times. The first looked too formal. The second had a faint grease spot near the pocket. The third was blue, which reminded me of the shirt Evan had worn the night he erased my name. I put the first one back on. Oak Street Diner was 20 minutes from my house and 10 from Evan's. I arrived at 11:53. He was already seated in a booth near the window with coffee in front of him. You're early, I said. So are you. By 7 minutes, I got here at 11:40. That's not early, that's anxiety. He looked at the menu. You want to do this? I'm sitting down. I slid into the booth across from him. The diner had red vinyl seats patched with black tape and chrome napkin holders that reflected everyone in narrow, distorted pieces. The daily special was meatloaf. A handwritten sign near the register warned that substitutions would be charged and attitudes were free. A waitress came over. Coffee? She asked me. Yes. You eating? I haven't decided. Evan said. He'll have the meatloaf. I looked at him. What? He said. You always get meatloaf here. I can order. He almost smiled. Apparently that runs in the family. I ordered the meatloaf. Evan ordered a turkey club and fries. When the waitress left, we both opened the sugar container without using anything from it. I got your message, he said. I assumed. I didn't know what to say. You didn't have to answer immediately. You always answer immediately, usually by doing something. He looked at me. Mara talked to you. Rachel did. Of course she did. I called Mara afterward. Of course you did. I didn't ask them to negotiate. But you discussed me. I discussed myself. With my wife. She's also a person I know. Through me. That doesn't make her your property. I didn't say it did. You're right. The correction stopped him. He leaned back. You've been doing that? He said. What? Agreeing before the argument gets good. I'm trying something. The dripping faucet, among other things. His eyes moved toward the window. Cars passed on Oak Street, tires hissing over pavement damp from morning rain. I shouldn't have come into your house like that, he said. I waited. He looked back at me. That's it? I'm listening. I'm apologizing. You haven't said the words. His face tightened. I felt the old satisfaction begin, the one that came when someone walked into the exact corner I had prepared. I'm sorry, he said. I shouldn't have insulted your guests. Thank you. I still think the whole thing is weird. The dinners? You building a second Sunday dinner the minute I asked for space. I made too much chicken. Then you kept making too much chicken. On purpose. Exactly. I like them. You've known Len a month. People don't become less worth knowing because I met them recently. I didn't say they did. You called them replacement family. That's what it felt like. Our food arrived before I could answer. The waitress put meatloaf in front of me and the turkey club in front of Evan. Then she placed ketchup between us with the careful neutrality of a hostage negotiator. Anything else? She asked. No, we said together. She left. Evan took one fry and broke it in half. Were you lonely? He asked. The question was quiet enough that I almost pretended not to hear. Yes. Before? Yes. How long? I don't know. That's not true. I cut into the meatloaf. Retirement didn't help, I said. Sunday dinner gave the week a center. You never said that. No. You acted like you came because we needed you to cook. I liked being needed. You keep saying that like it was some trick we played on you. It wasn't. He waited. I put down my fork. I made it the price of admission, I said. Not out loud. If I fixed enough, remembered enough, brought enough, I didn't have to ask whether you wanted me there. Evan turned another fry between his fingers. And if we did want you there, he said, we owed you. I didn't keep score. You didn't have to. You'd walk into the garage and get quiet. The garage was a disaster. There. I closed my mouth, he nodded. I spent a whole Saturday organizing it before your birthday dinner last year. I put the tools together, cleared the shelves, got rid of old paint. You came in looking for a screwdriver and said, we can do something with this. I meant we could improve the storage. I know what you meant. I didn't notice you had worked on it. Exactly. The waitress passed and topped off our coffee without asking. Evan said, when Mara and I bought the house, you walked through every room and told us what needed work. You asked my opinion. I asked if you liked it. I remembered the day, the empty rooms. Mara standing in the living room holding the keys. Evan waiting near the fireplace while I checked a crack above the window. What did I say? I asked. Good bones. That's a compliment. It means the visible part needs help. I like the house. You never said that. I rubbed my thumb along the handle of my fork. I was proud of you, I said. His eyes stayed on the broken fry. I was proud you bought it. I was proud of the way you and Mara made decisions together. I was proud you didn't ask me for money. We didn't need money. I know. That was part of it. You could have said proud. Yes. You said the downspout was too short. It was. His mouth moved. So was I, he said. What? Proud. He took a bite of his sandwich, chewed, and swallowed. Of the chicken, he added. It was good. The garlic burned the first time. I heard. Mara talks too much. She's worried about both of us. She thinks everyone can be fixed with one honest conversation. She married a Hale. That's optimism. He laughed once. The sound eased something between us, but it did not remove it. I ate another bite of meatloaf. It had too much sage. I kept that to myself. Why did you write the names on the board? I asked. Mara wrote them. You erased mine. He looked toward the sugar container again. We had been arguing about it for 2 weeks, he said. She wanted me to talk to you. I kept saying I would. That part sounds familiar. Every Sunday came, and I didn't. Then she wrote the names for the next week, including yours. I know. She said if I wanted a dinner without you, I needed to tell you before you showed up. I got mad. Not at you. At her, maybe. At the whole thing. So you erased it. I thought if I did, I couldn't back out. You could have rewritten it. I almost did. When? Monday morning. After you asked me to watch the house. He nodded. Did you see the problem? I asked. Not then. How? His expression sharpened. I thought watching the house would prove we still trusted you. To me? To both of us. You didn't trust me at dinner. I didn't trust myself at dinner. I waited. He set down his sandwich. When you're there, I hear everything before you say it. I know when the roast is dry. I know the chair scratches. I know the gutter's probably full. I spend the entire meal waiting for you to notice what I already noticed. You could have told me. I'm telling you now. Yes. And the house was different. You're good at that stuff. I thought asking you meant I still respected you. You respected my labor. I thought that was the same thing. The words sat between us. They were mine, passed down without ever being spoken. I looked at his hands, larger than mine, same square nails, same small scar near the right thumb from a slipped utility knife years ago. You learned that from me, I said. Some of it. I'm sorry. He looked up. I did not add for what. I let him decide whether the apology was large enough to hold what he needed. He nodded once. Then he said, You still should have watched the house. I laughed. He did too. The waitress glanced over, perhaps relieved that nobody would be throwing ketchup. When the check came, Evan reached for it. "I've got mine," I said. "I invited you. You summoned me." "Gloria said that? How do you know?" "Because nobody else talks like a subpoena." He pulled the check toward him. I let him pay. Outside, the air had turned colder. We stood beside our vehicles without knowing how to finish. "What happens with Sundays?" he asked. "I keep having dinner at your house, sometimes Gloria's. Are Rachel and Tom going every week? They decide where they eat. So I'm supposed to join your dinner? You're welcome when you're ready to be decent to my guests." His shoulders rose. "That sounds like I'm applying. It's an invitation with a condition. Your conditions are boundaries. Mine are cruelty. That isn't what I said. It's what everybody thinks. I don't know what everybody thinks. You know, June thinks I'm an ass. June thinks most people are asses. Gloria definitely does. Gloria's standards are demanding. And Len brought salad with grapes. His judgment is compromised." Evan smiled, then looked down at the pavement. "I can't sit there with people who know everything," he said. "They don't know everything. They heard enough. You came into the room angry. If you're embarrassed, apologize." "To them?" "Yes. That sounds like a humiliation parade. No parade, no speech. Just don't pretend it didn't happen." He shoved his hands into his jacket pockets. "I'm not ready for that, all right, so I'm not welcome." "You are. You're not ready." He looked at me for a long moment. "You always make the distinction that leaves you clean." The comment hit because it was not entirely wrong. "I don't feel clean," I said. "Could have fooled me." He opened his truck door. "I'm glad we talked," I said. "Are you?" "Yes." He nodded, though he looked unconvinced. "Tell Mara I said hello." "You can tell her yourself. That sounds familiar." He got into the truck. Before he closed the door, I said, "You don't have to come to dinner to be my son." His hand stayed on the door. "And I don't have to fix your house to be your father," I added. He looked at me, then pulled the door shut. The truck remained parked until I drove away. For the next 3 days, I heard nothing from him. I did not call Rachel for a report. I did not ask Mara what he thought. When June called Saturday and tried to question me about lunch, I told her I had eaten meatloaf and survived. Sunday's guest list was small. June had work early Monday and declined. Rachel and Tom were spending the evening at home. Gloria was coming, and Len said he would bring bread. At 4, I set 3 places. Then Gloria called. "My kitchen sink is leaking," she said. I looked toward the hall closet where Tom's tool bag still sat. "Do you need help?" I asked. "No. A plumber is coming tomorrow. I'm calling because I won't make dinner. I have water under the cabinets and no patience for company." "All right, you're not going to tell me how to shut off the valve?" "Do you know how?" "Yes." "Then shut it off." A pause. "You really are changing," she said. At 5:30, Len texted that June's car had finally made the noise she kept hiding beneath loud music. He was taking her to a repair shop. I stood in my kitchen with a pot of soup meant for 5 and a loaf of bread I had not asked anyone to bring. For the first time since the dinners began, nobody was coming. The quiet settled around me. It hurt, but it did not accuse. I set one place. At 5:58, the doorbell rang. Through the glass, I saw Evan standing on the porch with a bag of store-bought rolls in one hand. I opened the door. Evan lifted the paper bag slightly. "I didn't know what to bring." "You brought rolls. They were near the register. That's where they keep the best ones." He looked past me. "Am I early?" "You're on time." "Where is everybody?" "Not coming." His expression changed. "Did they cancel because of me?" "They don't know you're here. You knew I was coming?" "No." "Then why are there only—" He saw the single place set at the table. "Oh," he said. "Gloria has a leaking sink. Len is helping June with her car. You were going to eat alone. I was going to eat soup. That wasn't my question. I wasn't going to throw the soup away." He nodded, still looking at the table. The bag crinkled in his hand. "Can I come in?" he asked. It was the first time I could remember my son asking permission to enter my house. "Yes." He wiped his shoes on the rug and stepped inside. I took his coat, but not the rolls. He carried them to the kitchen himself. "What kind of soup?" he asked. "Beef and barley." "You made beef and barley for 5 people?" "I have containers." He set the rolls on the counter beside the pot. Those chairs have pads now. Yes. All of them? All of them. He pulled out the chair across from mine. It moved without a sound. I added a bowl, spoon, plate, glass, and napkin. Evan watched me, then took the second bowl from my hand. I can do that. I let him. We sat. He broke a roll open and examined it. Stale? I asked. Possibly. You bought them. I was under pressure. From the cashier? From the situation. I tasted the soup. It needed pepper. I passed him the grinder without comment. He added too much. For a while, we ate. The clock above the stove ticked. A car moved down the street. From somewhere near the back steps came the soft clatter of a bird landing on the feeder. Evan looked toward the sound. You have birds now? One. You bought a feeder for one bird? I bought a feeder. One bird has responded. He nodded as if that made sense. Mara knows I'm here, he said. I didn't ask. You were wondering? I was. I told her I was going to try to talk to you. Try? That was her word. What was yours? I said I was bringing rolls. I smiled. He turned his spoon in the soup. I had a speech in the truck. What happened to it? It sounded stupid when I turned off the engine. Most speeches improve if you leave them in the car. This from the man who leaves voicemails like closing arguments. That's fair. He took another bite. I'm sorry I erased your name, he said. The room did not change. No music rose. The refrigerator continued to hum. I set down my spoon. I'm sorry I didn't talk to you first, he continued. I'm sorry I invited everybody else and made it look like you were the problem we were removing. Thank you. I was angry, but that wasn't the whole reason. What was? He rubbed his thumb over the edge of his napkin. I thought if everyone else was there, the dinner would still feel like Sunday. Just without the part where I felt watched. How did it feel? Wrong. He looked at me, not peaceful, not easier. Everybody was trying so hard not to mention you that it felt like you died. I was 12 minutes away. I know. You could have called. I know. He leaned back. Then I asked you to watch the house because I wanted to prove you were still part of things. You wanted the house watched. I also wanted that. Both can be true. Apparently. He glanced toward the hallway. When you said no, I thought you were taking away the thing that made us work. My labor. Your reliability. That sounds nicer. I'm not trying to make it sound nice. His eyes came back to mine. You always showed up, he said. No matter what. I thought that was the part I couldn't lose. So, you removed the other part. Yes. The honesty hurt less than the excuse had, and more than I expected. I didn't want to lose Sunday with you, he said. I wanted one Sunday where I didn't feel like I was failing in my own house. Then I got stubborn because you were hurt, and your being hurt made me feel guilty, and guilt makes me mean. I've noticed. I shouldn't have said you should be glad we still needed you. No, I knew it was bad as soon as I said it. You left quickly. I was afraid you'd answer. I didn't. That was worse. I folded my napkin once, then opened it again. I'm sorry too, I said. Evan looked surprised, which I deserved. I made you feel examined, I continued. I noticed everything except what you wanted me to notice. What did I want? That you had built a good life, that your house was yours, that you could feed people without me standing behind you. His mouth tightened. I was proud, I said. I should have told you more often. You told me when I got promoted. I said, about time. You meant it as a compliment. I did. It wasn't. I know that now. He looked down at his bowl. I thought helping was how I showed love, I said. Sometimes it was. Sometimes I used it to avoid saying I was lonely. Sometimes I gave you things you didn't ask for and expected closeness in return, like an invoice. An unspoken one, the worst kind. Yes. He pushed the pepper grinder toward the center of the table. But needing space didn't require erasing me, I said. I know. It required a conversation. I know. And asking me to watch the house afterward was cruel. I know. I waited to see whether he would defend it. He didn't. I'm not saying that to keep you guilty, I said. I need you to understand why I won't go back to what we had and pretend this never happened. What does that mean? It means I keep my dinners with Gloria and Len and June, sometimes Rachel and Tom. Mom? Elaine has not been invited. Why not? She has white furniture and a life. He smiled. You can keep your dinner, I said. Mara and you can keep yours. They don't have to compete. Then when do I see you? You call me. For what? To see me. He frowned as if I had suggested mailing a letter without an address. Just call or invite me somewhere. What if I need help, ask for help, and you might say no? Yes. You really enjoy that word now. I'm trying not to overuse it. He looked around the dining room. Am I invited here? You're here. You know what I mean. You're welcome at dinner if you can sit with my guests without treating them like evidence. He exhaled. I owe them an apology. Yes, I was hoping you'd say I didn't. You insulted them in my house. I know. You don't have to make a speech. I don't have one. It's in the truck with the other one. We ate more soup. Halfway through his second bowl, Evan took out his phone. What are you doing? I asked, calling Mara. Do you need privacy? No, she answered on the second ring. How's trying? She asked. You're on speaker. I stand by the question. Evan looked at me. Dad made soup. I know. He told me his plans before you got home. Of course he did. He was not keeping it secret. Do you want some? I asked. There was a pause. Is that an invitation? Mara said. Yes. To your dinner? It's soup. Careful, Evan said. He's protective of the distinction. Mara laughed. I'm in sweatpants, she said. We have a relaxed dress code. I'll be there in 15 minutes. She arrived in 12 carrying a pie from the grocery store. You criticize my rolls, Evan said when she entered. The pie has a lattice top. That indicates effort. It indicates machinery. Mara kissed him, then hugged me longer than usual. She set the pie on the counter and saw the rolls. They do look stale. Everybody's an expert, Evan said. I added a third place. Mara ate soup. Evan told her I had bought a bird feeder. She asked the bird's name. I said it was a wild animal, not a tenant. She named it Walter. Nobody discussed the house. When they left, Evan carried the bowls to the sink. He turned on the water. You don't have to wash those, I said. I know. He washed them anyway. At the door, Mara went ahead to the car. Evan remained in the entryway with his coat unzipped. Next Sunday, he said, we're eating at home. All right, I'm asking if you want to come. What time? 6? As a guest? As my father. That answer needs work. You don't have to bring anything. Better. And don't come early. Best so far. He smiled. I'll come. The next Sunday did not repair everything. Evan apologized to June in my driveway because he could not bring himself to do it at the table. She told him the apology was acceptable, but his posture needed improvement. He apologized to Gloria by phone. She made him repeat the part about insulting her because, she said, the first version sounded outsourced. Len accepted an apology with such visible discomfort that Evan ended up reassuring him. At Evan and Mara's dinner, I arrived at 6, not 5:45, not 5:53, 6. The little board beside the refrigerator no longer held names. Mara had written the menu again. Pot roast, potatoes, green beans, pie. At the bottom, in smaller letters, she had added, no projects. I took off my coat. The chair by the window slid quietly when Rob sat down. Evan saw me look. Pads, he said. I noticed, installed them myself. Good. The pot roast was slightly dry. I told him the potatoes were excellent. He watched my face for another sentence. I ate another bite. After dinner, he asked if I would look at the sprinkler panel the next morning. I said yes. We set a time. I looked at the panel, showed him what I saw, and left while he ordered the part himself. Some Sundays I ate at his house. Some Sundays he and Mara came to mine. Some belonged to Gloria, whose porch railing continued to lean despite every law of carpentry. Some weeks Rachel and Tom came. Other weeks they did not, and nobody demanded an explanation. Evan still asked for help too quickly. I still noticed things nobody wanted noticed. Once, I reorganized half his workbench before realizing what I was doing. He stood in the garage doorway and said, Dad, I put the wrench down. Sorry. He looked at the labeled drawer, then at me. That label is better, he admitted. Still sorry. The dinners changed slowly enough to become real. One evening at Evans, months after Oregon, we sat down while rain tapped the kitchen windows. Mara served chicken. Rachel poured wine. Ben told a story that went nowhere, but took 10 minutes to arrive. Behind Evan, the cabinet door beside the sink hung slightly crooked. I noticed. He saw me notice. For a second, we were back at the old table, waiting to see which of us would become the person we had been. Evan glanced at the hinge. Will you show me how to fix that sometime? He asked. Monday? He nodded. I reached for the potatoes. Tonight, I said, we eat.